I've been on the beach
Um,
for like 3 straight hours in the hot sun.
oh, I'm so jealous. I wanted to do that. It was overcast here,
Hmm.
but I set up a nice little energy vortex instead, so we're all good.
Yeah,
Yeah, of
today?
course. Oh yeah.
Today? Okay, I got you. Hang on. Okay, I got you. We're live on Facebook, YouTube, and X. Yeah, we're good. All right. Okay, so all right. Tell us about
Thank
that.
you.
Then
Thank you so
we'll
much, Todd, for having me on. This is Susan, and it's a pleasure always to talk with you. It's been years. So last we spoke, I was working on the blueprint for the human within myself and using that as a basic. And from there, I took so many more deep dives after that I'm going to try to pull it all together. But I started to look into trust and trust law, which I was really guided to with my heart. And when I did, I jumped into a pile of information I had no idea I would do. And that has to do with how things are constructed, not just within ourselves, but how the world itself has been constructed over the last few several years, hundreds of years, and where it begins and who's usurping energies. So that was the dive we're going to take today.
okay. Okay. So, yes, I think so many of us can like take our own personal experience and they're starting to regulate because they're converging and they're
Okay.
coming into the same space. And so I think for me, and I love the way you open this discussion because for me, everything external is me. I mean, like,
Mm,
I'm not saying I got this figured out, and I'm not saying I'm Buddha or Jesus or Magdalene or whatever. What I'm saying is something has changed in 2025. Something has changed since the solstice of 24. That was 12 years from this, December 21st, 2012, the Mayan calendar thing, right? And I received in my soul that we're in a different place now, that we're not moving against the current. We're The current is with us. And so our intentions and our actions and our thoughts, most importantly, are being reciprocated and reflected and expanded. So I get what you're saying. I mean, I've gone through 10, 12, 13 years of researching all this stuff. But to me, it's come down to this, it's a narrative. And I have my daily life, you have your daily life, and
hmm
all that other stuff is out there. Even the galactic and the angelic and all that, and the things that people have gotten and all that stuff, you know what I mean? But even that other stuff, the stuff that's on the surface of the earth, because there's so much more. And that's, I think, what we're being prepared for is to be able to um, accept. And accept doesn't mean you like it all the time. You do sometimes, but to accept what is. And I think that's what our memories are coming in. But it's not so much out there in the galactic, it's here on the earth, and it's all coming to a head. So thank you for letting me introduce you like that.
Thank
But
you for
thank you for
introducing me
coming
as
in.
that.
No, let me just say formally, thank you for coming in to Soulogy again and into a sacred space where we just try to, like have a conversation like we were alone. And I really feel like that's where the most potential is for all of us is to say, I am soul, but I show my ass too.
That's well said. Well, thank you for inviting me into your space. I can feel it, and I'm sitting with you now in it. So thank you.
Mm.
hmm
So, I mean, like the last time we talked was probably what, 3 or 4 years ago, 5 years ago? I don't know. I met you in California in 2019. Okay.
2019. So that's how long
Yes.
it's been. So we did a show. We met in person, you, Morgan, and myself. And then we did another show uh, where you were at in Oceanside that day when I went out to hang out with you guys. And then we've all been now moving as we've been
Yeah. So
internally directed to move.
yeah, so much is happening and so much is changing so fast. But I think, it's almost like, how you get a download
Hmm.
and it knocks you on your ass. Like it can even knock you on your ass, like, 'cause it could be a trigger, activations or triggers, emotional, mental, physical. And then you kind of come out of it and you kind of go, oh my God, this is what happened. Right? And that
Yeah,
happens kind of
absolutely.
like on the short version, like maybe it used to be like once a month. Now it's like once a week. But what I'm saying is I feel like part of what we're coming into is that period right after we last connected, which would be we might call it the COVID period, like say 2020, late 2020 to 2023, 24. And like many other things, like 9/11 or whatever, really woke people up and is still waking people up. Um, so through that time, when there were restrictions and the ridiculousness was coming out, what were you going through during those years? Were you having to be in your home? Were you be able to go out and, hang out with people? What were you picking up? Because I know you're very sensitive. All right.
Mhm.
Um, yeah, like what was that like for you? Because I think that information is really good for a lot of people today.
So during that time, I was already doing alone time. So back in 2018, I took a dive on a personal level. And some call that, I guess, a dark night of the soul, but it wasn't dark for me. It was a surrendering into all the things for me that had accumulated over years of doing spiritual work and going to sacred sites and doing the sacred site clearings and all that stuff with friends. So I'd already been on that side of it. And then during the COVID piece of it, where separation was a huge thing, um, it took me into that dive that I was telling you about, where I started to think about trust and creating trust and estates and wanting to do that for my spiritual community, right? Because I had come from the spiritual community, and my whole focus had been totally separated out from the world itself in a lot of ways. Because although I knew that I was affecting the collective, I wasn't necessarily playing in the collective uh, in the exchanges that normally would happen, right? So there was no anger going on, there was no frustration, it was no wishing it would be different. None of that was going on. I took a deeper dive at that time into more earth and connecting with earth, and that gave me a lot of peace. And
Would you say that you were um, in regard to not really focusing on those things out there, and being more intent on Mother Earth,
absolutely.
that you were also more present with yourself?
A- absolutely, absolutely. But I found comfort in Mother Earth. So I was living in the city portion of Los Angeles, and I moved towards the ocean portion because I was driving down all the time to be next to the ocean and to find my peace with the ocean and the sun. Um, and so I took a deeper dive into what surrounds me. I had incredible experiences in Sedona, um, where I got a chance to meet with Grandmother Sky. Um, I got new experiences where it was I had the experience with Mother Earth, and she surrounded me in love, and I saw things differently, and so I took a deeper dive into experiencing that myself, and I would say that I started to see things even differently than I had known it before, and that would have been based on even how I knew myself, right? Excuse me for the runny nose. So I don't want to say this. So light language kicked in, right? Different parts of myself that hadn't been awakened from those perspectives. But then I went into the opposite. I started playing in the structures of how uh, law has been created and all those things, and it's not outside of myself, because remember, if I'm here, I see myself as an extension of my ancestral line, and I may even be the original ancestral, one of the original ancestral pieces that uh, started here
So
based
what
on
you
the
were so
experiences
what
that
you're
I've had.
saying is so what you were saying is with the insight you had of yourself and your lineage, you were and are um, examining the infrastructure of what the perceived reality is, because you can kind of see beyond it, but you have to kind of see what the hell, and the who, what, where, and why thing, to a point, right? So to
Mm-hmm.
speak. So you can get to, I guess, the other side of it. Is that something like that?
It's almost like that, but also too, and this is my most recent thing that I can share with you. If I'm in my present state and I'm in my knowing self, right? Then I'm not scattered energetically. I'm a piece of matter that is much like a rock would be. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's solid, and I move with that awareness, and gaining all that back, as you know, Todd, requires so much, because when we get here, we're coming here really on a blank slate of forgetfulness in a lot of ways, and everybody experiences it that way.
In
But
every way, except for
in
the
every
one
way,
golden, except for the one golden thread.
that's right. And so that desire to want to know those pieces really catapulted. And with that said, so when I was looking at matter, I would see that if I was emotionally charged about something, right, like you were just talking about how everything is me, so I'm not emotionally charged. I don't disperse my energy when I come up against an emotional state, which is really a lot of the structure that happens. We look back onto something that doesn't exist, we bring it forward, our energy starts dispersing, and in this moment we no longer are that beautiful crystal energy. We've now dispersed again, and where pieces are flying around energetically, and then how do we gain that back? And so, as you were saying, bringing it back to the now, restructuring the forming of the thoughts and what we want to put forth as a belief, an ideology, a heart space, all of that stuff comes back in. So
I think.
that's
Go ahead. Go
sorry.
ahead. I'm sorry.
No,
Go
go
ahead.
ahead.
No,
No, no, no,
you're
no. Go
you're
ahead.
really you're really pinging me.
Oh, good. Ping away, and then please speak
No,
about it,
well,
because that's more fun.
one of the things I love about getting back into this, because I didn't do the volume that I did for so many years from well, 2 years, the last 2 years. I probably did like 10 a month, which might be a lot for a lot of people. For me, I was doing 65. But in doing the shows, there was a collective kind of intelligence coming in through the human, you in this case,
Mm-hmm.
soul in this case, um, their explanation of what's going on. And I'm starting to see it again after 2 years. It's been about,
Mm-hmm.
maybe 3, 4 weeks. This has been happening. So what I want to say is like, we for now, I guess, have to kind of measure things by linear time until we
Mm-hmm.
make the break where we can like comprehend beyond it, beyond the timeline, but beyond time. So everything doesn't happen at the same time. Now, for me, it felt like after the solstice in 2024, everything changed. Like we were swimming against the current for 12 years since 2012, and then all of a sudden the current's going with us, and it's so much of a flip of the poles that it's like the hardest thing is like trying to get used to it. Like, you make a step and you wait, oh, what the fuck's going to happen here, or whatever the case is. But what I'm saying is I feel like your energy exemplifies that. I know you've been tapped in a long, long time. And through your words and what you were talking about, your storytelling, I can tell that you've spent a tremendous amount of time with yourself, you know?
Mm,
And I feel like that's happening more and more and more with people. Do you feel like through it all, regardless of the stories,
sure.
today, do you feel the most powerful you ever have? Even though you
What
might have anxiety.
100, honestly, 100%. No, 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 100%. I I feel empowered. I feel like I've linked parts of my brain. This sounds so strange, but I feel like I've linked neurons in my brain. I think, you know, not think, I know this is a knowing self, right? I see the linking. I knew what was happening when it was occurring. Like, when you're under a science project and you understand the different dynamics of everything going on at the same time you are experiencing it, I have I have a beautiful gift like that. That's part of what I do, and I don't do it with others. I do it within myself, and I keep the focus there.
Yeah. Yeah. Do
You
you
know,
feel, I'm just curious, and
sure.
if so, when did you start to feel it? But do you feel that as let's just say, metaphorically, as the multidimensionality, the multi-humanity, because I believe there's as much multifaceted parts of the human as there is a
Hmm.
multidimensionality, right? But do you feel like that your body itself is becoming a voice and a consciousness, like has a seat at that table? You know what I mean? uh, are you finding anything like that? Are you changing your diet habits, and just intuitively, or whatever, like is your body speaking to you in any way? Has it had anything to tell you?
Well, the body is going through this as well. I mean, for me, one of the symptoms, it's the best way, I can only go into symptoms, but I would, the when it hits your nervous system, right, it feels like your whole system is shaking. I Have you had that experience?
Let me tell you something. I've done, let me just say this. I don't mean to cut you off, but 4,000 plus episodes, right? I've had people come on way back, like 800 episodes, and I would say 30, 40 times, talking about the nervous system. I want to give a shout out to Fiona McLennan from Australia because she talked about it incessantly. And I was like, what the F, right? But I will tell you something. I think the energies that are coming down now are, it's never slowed down all these years. But it's not
Hmm.
just the fact that it's not slowing down, it's coming in fast. It's coming in comprehensively. There's so much coming in. And what I realize, and I ask you this question, and for me, it is centered on the nervous system. And I have learned so much about my consciousness in the last 2 months. Things that just make me go like this. And I know I'm calm, cool, and collected. At least in my own mind, I thought I was. So I really feel like there is a direct link between, let me just put it in my words, what the soul can feel. Because, like, the soul says, hey, let's go do these things so I can experience these things. And the human thing is so intense. And there's so much coming up now from who knows, lives ago, but even this life, even this summary life. Yes, that's been the biggest voice, and thank you for allowing me to have this epiphany. But that has been the biggest voice of my body, because I know my body for the last 2 years, and I've heard other people say it has been coming on as a voice at the table of, like, the personal monad, the personal oversoul. Um, and so, yeah, and I have I think at this point that's probably my main um, priority. If it goes off and I don't really understand it, I'm gonna still stay with it until I can. bring it down. I feel like there's a direct link to the soul. Like it's almost like the physical aspect of the soul, like the network or the battery or the terminal.
That's well said. Um, you definitely have changed since last time I saw you because you create what I call a space within you, and then I feel like I'm in your grace of your space, and it's almost interesting because you've got energies behind you, right, with the visual, and these are my energies right behind me. And
They look like the infinite grandmothers from here.
yeah, well,
That's a really cool painting.
thank
Yeah.
you. So it's kind of fun because we're both in. You've come into my reality right now, right, and I'm in your reality, and I don't think we understood that piece of it back when we were together in 2019. We were all realities were kind of moving together, so there was no differentiation of what reality was what and who was what. Um, so I would say that I can see yours, and I feel from your response that you are experiencing mine as well. So part of what has occurred would definitely be this piece of it, right? That each one of us has taken on a form of mastery, soul mastery within ourselves, and created a container that is part of our blueprint, but um, it's not visual to those that haven't done the work because it's the entrance into seeing it is that you do your own container, and then we exchange those containers when we come together.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I see
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
as something that we can put on the table as a for sure thing.
Yeah, you remind me of two things. 14 years ago, first of all, 14 years ago, on June the 1st, this is what, 2 months ago, something happened. And it was the same thing that happened 14 years ago. And all these patterns and all this geometry started coming in to me, right?
Mm,
Um, so the reason I brought that up is because of what you were talking about. And so for me, a part of it is like this whatever we've stepped into now, it is different. There's something
mhm,
different about what's going on now. I've seen plenty of videos on young people, old people. I don't even need the validation. I just know that if it's happening to me, it's happening to everybody. And like in this energy, like you're talking about right now, it's that's what it is. It's like real time. It's like we're not in the future. We're not trying to figure out what's going to happen. We're not hung up on the past. We're just like, hey, this is where I'm at. This is the whole
mhm.
composite of where I'm at.
And
But
it's
I
a
really,
full structured container that you created, right? With that energy, you're defining lines. It's like you created a space that's quantum, that's beautiful. And
yeah,
I immediately felt it when you started talking. And I was like, oh, he's leading me to where he's at. So I went where you were at. And I was like, oh, wow, that's a space. And you helped me see my own space, not knowing that had been creating this beautiful space that I always called it like I need to become my own best friend
mm,
ultimately, right? Like I'm not here to live in the paradigm of ideologies that don't align uh with I'm not saving anyone. I never did a spiritual group that I'm trying to be a teacher. I skipped past all of those ideas because it didn't feel like a calling to my soul. So instead I worked on my inner container. Now I know why clearer than I did maybe in 2019. But I can see you worked on your container because I can see it.
yeah.
So you heard it first on Soulogy about the container and what's been created multidimensionally. We didn't have that space awareness, but I remember seeing you in an interview with, oh God, what was her name? She has the blonde hair. She's in Hawaii.
Carlotta J.
No, forgive me.
Oh,
It wasn't her.
Lisa
Lisa
Transcendence Brown.
Transcendence
Yeah.
Brown. Oh my God. She
Yeah, those
was
were classic. There was 4 4-hour interviews, and you know what? Over the years, because I've done so many, I've done like almost 6,000 video productions. Like 4,000 shows. But we did anyway. We those 4 shows. I still get people like every couple of months send me a message saying, "Where's those videos?
Mhm.
When are y'all gonna do another one?"
Well, you know
Yes.
what? You were in her container, and I remember her speaking about the container and what she was creating, and you were blasted out. You were so cute. You were like drinking coconut water. You're like, I don't know what's happening.
I think
Do you
that was
remember that?
coconut water with vodka.
Oh, was it? Because you're like, I need to calm
I
down.
had to
But
sneak it, or she would have been pissed.
your energy was being blasted out. It was
Well,
wild.
that was Kauai. That was all. I feel like that, as the individual goes, so goes the collective. And I don't feel like it. I know it.
Yeah.
That as we step into it, as we have a conversation like this, as I go to Hawaii with a plane ticket and $25 and a hotel room for one night, and
No.
back in the day, right? No, no. But what I'm saying is that's kind of how it works, and that's what I was going to get into a second ago when I kind of digressed. But this energy is asking us, or works, or is accessible as we let everything go. And at this point, that means everything that came from the old. And there's some kind of weird science to it that anything you let go of is still going to be there and like a millionfold. So I really feel like that we're on the front end of this thing. Some of us, and I don't mean that in a hierarchy way. I just mean everybody has a piece of their own of the puzzle. And some of us are actually doing this, and it's come down to what you represent. And I hope what I'm representing more every day, which is by the personal choices we make within ourselves, not with disregard to other people, but to put ourselves first. Because when we're in our best possible place, that's the best I can do for you. It's not what I tell
Hmm.
you, it's the light or the illumination or the space that you're talking about. The other thing you remind me of is
Hmm.
when I first woke up 14 years ago. I went through this period. I went into this park one night at 2 in the morning, and this fucking and it was all windy, and this light appeared on the soccer field. As I moved into it, the wind stopped, and I was like, "What the hell's going on?" I looked up. There was like a grid, like a dome. Okay,
Oh, wow.
so I kept walking, and I took a step outside of it and felt the wind. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. I've been dancing in the club at night. I mean, I was probably lit a little bit, but this is legit.
Hmm.
So I stepped back in, knelt down, and received the code, but I didn't know that I was receiving code. I just, at that time, I was in light worker communities. I didn't know any of the lingo. I didn't know anything about Ascension or nothing. But my point is that I feel what's happening now is at the level of those things that happen to us in our personal awakening, regardless of when they happened on the human timeline. And we're being given an opportunity to remember why we all came together. Like everyone's stories on these shows have been, like so against the grain, like the family let go of them and people thought they were crazy and, all that stuff, right?
Hmm.
Yet we all came to this space. That's where the power is how I feel. And I feel like it's come back in 2025.
Well, we can, when we're part of ourselves, we are part of the collective. We have no idea how much our energy affects the whole. We don't know that. Back in the day, Jesus was known to be this incredible person, and then in the Bible, it wrote that he said others like me will do greater things. And I think if I were Jesus at the time, let's say, right, and I said that, I would know that I needed more more reflections like me in a space that was dense in energy, I would make that claim 100%, right? Because it does require all of us doing what we're doing, not doing the same thing, but doing what we're doing based on what our calling is, and honoring that that is transforming what we're creating in a scientific lab, let's say within ourselves, that's also being is already connected naturally to the organic everything. And and so I would say, like, I was shown it through the fact that I was shown like little links that I was going back and I was recreating the links of how everything came together. I was
Would you
going
say
this
would you
way and that way, and it was
would you
fun.
s- would you say that we're having a life review in form
That's an
as
interesting.
opposed to, in other words, okay, if you listen to people that have NDEs and out of body experiences, and I can relate to
Hmm.
this, they're able to see a life review in those moments. They're able to see their life. A lot of them talk about it. I don't know the percentage, but I'd say probably 70, 80% that I've looked at. Um, and the value of the life review is that they can feel what the mirror of them received,
Mm,
regardless of intention. And so, like, it's hard to kind of like encapsulate the human coming into the soul and the soul coming into the human thing. There's like the human, it's like a tandem. It's like it's like a partnership, or like, maybe it's the two polarities. I don't know. But like, as I talk to you and other people, as I'm getting back into this, what I'm seeing is the full representation of the human who's kind of like shedding, and the soul coming in at the same time going, oh my God, this isn't like, this isn't like a perfect situation here. You know what I mean? Like, almost like you hear people saying, I got the call. They said, you got to, mother put the call out to go to Mother Earth. It was a calling. Why would I leave this place where I'm so comfortable to go down here where people live in fear, and, that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
mm,
And there's like this fusion happening. And what I'm seeing in people, and I see it in you, and I thank you for being a reflection for me, because that's really where it's going to for me, is that more and more encounters when I show up, which I've always felt I could and did, but it was different. Now I'm showing up not for other people, not for Soulogy, not for a partner, not for my mother, not for my daughters. I'm showing up because I want to be in that space that you're talking about. But I think that space isn't like you were talking about, oh, I see your space. I think it's both spaces kind of coming together. You know what I mean?
yeah.
Almost
What?
like
No,
almost
100%.
like a Vesica Pisces, and then it whatever, it
Oh, that's
pulsates.
beautiful.
You know what I mean? But I think
Hmm.
that I feel like that's how we actually kind of, if you look at it energetically, that's how we kind of come, we come together. We're always given the potential to merge. You can go down to the convenience store and
Mm.
you can have that with the clerk.
Oh, absolutely.
If I walk in there and I put my stuff on the counter and he's a certain ethnicity or whatever the case, whatever it is, it brings up a prejudice or bias. But if we're in a state where we're just going along and seeing everything as ourselves, but I believe we get that through what's happening now, which is like these kind of no bullshit conversations we're having with the universe. And
Mm,
so, like, a lot of people are in isolation, and this is really where the rubber meets the road, and this is really where things change externally first in our lives, and then, ultimately, in the best case scenario, the whole world. But I don't even think that's the point. I think the point is like, how do your days go? Are they, you were talking about the nervous system. Do you feel that? Because like
I
it's becoming.
100% do. Like, one day
Well,
I
you're
thought
in
I was
LA, so I mean,
I was
you're gonna have
coming out of Trader
20%.
Joe's, and it was hitting me so hard, and I was like, I saw these golden sparkles come out of the sun, and I captured it on video because I was like, I couldn't believe what I was seeing. And I thought to myself, I'm going to literally evaporate, and all that will be left is my phone, the car, my purse and the car. Like I felt like I would literally evaporate into nothingness. I was shocked when I didn't. I was like, oh my God, I didn't. That's how hard I get hit with the energies. But I know that my body's agreed to it. I talk to my body. I love my body. I'm part of all of it. Like no, no if I can see it, then it's like a stranger. I treat a stranger the same way I would treat a friend. You know, I just, when I look at all the pinpoints here on this earth, right? Like we were told about Jesus and Mary Magdalene and the Ark of the Covenant and all this stuff. Well, as you go deeper into the truth of yourself, you see the truth of other things. And in seeing the truth of the other things, you get to realize that maybe contracts were agreed upon and maybe things were agreed upon that I'm not in agreement with, or that I wasn't even aware that I agreed to, or that society as a whole agreed to. Like I discovered, intuition will take you lots of places. And I went to a pope of the Vatican, right? It's pretty, that's some serious energy. And he had written this thing that said, if you're here on this earth, I own every soul, man and woman soul here, unless you come through me.
Who was
You do
this?
not.
The Pope?
Pope Bonaparte, 1302, made a declaration.
Oh, fuck him.
Yeah, exactly, right. But why did I come across it? So I was like, I
Yeah.
came across it
Yeah.
because I'm going to cancel that contract, and I'm going to trumpet by knowing the truth, which is to void ab initio, something that I am my father's covenant. And then from there, I realized we all are the Ark of the Covenant. We are soul in a human
Yes.
body, and
Yeah.
here on this earth, they're playing with paper as dead things and trying to, because I was shown there were people that divided themselves from spirit, their own spirit self, and they wanted to stay and play, and they could only do that by playing in the dead. Because once you deny your own light, what are you,
Right.
right?
So
And
what you're saying is which I think is really, again, I think I feel that you're really exemplifying the whole thing about as the individual goes, so it goes collective. Because I think what's
mhm,
happening, like what you represent and what you're talking about, and what your story in your life is about, is what's happening to so many people. So you're taking your free will and you're choosing to first investigate, go through your innocence and your curiosity, and find the answers to these things. And for me, I feel so resonant to it because I've done research. I mean, I still do research, because I feel like it gives me more information as to, having an open mind isn't just about the light, it's about the dark
mhm,
too. You know what I mean? But I always go back to, or not always, but I mean, let's just say the last couple of years. This is free will. There's something about this realm that involves total free will, not partial, total free will. Okay, from a
mhm.
soul level, in my opinion. So when did we first exercise that free will? Was it before we ever came into any of these incarnations? Because I don't feel like I was put into these incarnations without my own choice. In other words, I might not have known the extent of the amnesia, you know, I might not have known the extent of the trauma, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, until as, get to a place where you start to realize, you know what, I can only go as high as I went low, which seems to be kind of
Mhm.
personify the whole trip that we've all been on. Because to me,
Beautiful
we
said.
share two things. We share, I am soul,
Mhm.
not as a hope and not as a, a lifeline, but like, you know what, at the end of the day, I am soul. I could be wrong. Maybe I'm worm dirt, but you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
the other thing that we share, and I think this is where the greatest code is now, what we can offer the universe now, what we came for is to recognize that we've all been subjected to the human condition. So all the prejudices and biases fall under this umbrella of we all got duped. We all got fucked. We all, got deceived or whatever.
Hmm.
Let go of that and understand. And I think what happens there for me, and what I feel like the consciousness is happening in the physicality and the embodiment, is we're starting to have exchanges like this. We're starting to have this frequency, or this vibration, or this reality, where everyone's like, "There's no bullshit here." You know what? We've all done things. We've all been subjected to this. Our pain is the same, proportionate to our life experience. I mean, it's like there's so much there. If we can get beyond the differences we have between ourselves, which, if you look at this realm, that's the way it's built. It's always been built about there's a side over here and there's a side over there. You know what I mean?
Hmm. And
So
also
I don't know.
too, Todd, the container piece that we talked about, everything you said was perfect. Then now let's talk about this container that you and I spoke about. And then also Lisa Transcendence Brown did speak about it way back then. This container is now up to you to what you want to fill with it, what it's designed to do, how and what you want it to function as. You're in charge of that container, and that container is part of the collective because you're using things that are in the collective to determine it. So therefore, it cannot not be part of the collective. And if you're using that container, your container, and I believe every individual has their own container, and you're putting in either someone else's beliefs and you're taking it on as your own, or you're saying, I don't have the right to have my own beliefs, so I'll take what you suggest to me, right? Which is the complete trust in someone else to fill that container. And that's really what's happening now. You and I have chosen a different path, and that's not good or bad, but we realize that the container that we carry is ours to fill, and is ours to determine the guidelines, the rules, the regulations, the what we will and will not do. Is it based in honor? Is it not based in honor? Is it filled with love? Is forgiveness part of it? We're taking our own container, and that container is ours, and we've taken full ownership over it. And in the process of taking full ownership over it, we are determining what that container looks like. And if you come into my container, if we do the Vivica Pisces, I love when
Yeah,
you
the
said that.
Vesica Pisces. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Vesica Pisces, thank you. When we do that coming together, it is based on a lot of things, and one of them may be just the coming together based on
Well, I mean,
similarity.
those two circles cannot enter each other unless they are the same frequency. And I
Correct. And
love what
that's what,
you know
sorry,
what
go ahead.
I love what you're saying, because to me what you're saying is, that's why I love doing these shows, because it's like a session. I'm the patient. but but the thing
Me
is,
too.
the thing is that what you're saying to me, to me, what this session is representing, and what the consciousness is allowing us to access, or what it is right now in this moment, because
Hmm.
that's all that matters. It's not out there, it's not back there, it's not prophecies, it's not predictions. Is we can we're entering this space one by one, or two by two, or whatever the case is. And yes, we're the ebb and the flow, the inhale and the exhale, but we're meeting here more and more and more. And there is no rational explanation. There's no scientific evidence. To me, it is seen in what I have seen in all these shows all these years. These people that have lived these extraordinary individual lives, full of trauma, full of all the stuff that you've shared, that I have shared, that we've experienced, and we're here now. And it's not that we're
Hmm.
better, it's just that we are in a space where we might be able to consciously be aware of what it is, because it has nothing to do with the rules and regulations of all that stuff, or the narratives. It's almost like
Correct. And the
it's almost like
narratives, though, have to be talked about because the narratives are usurping one's structure, and they've been usurping because they have they the everyone that everyone was created with the same light. Everyone is created with that same light. If we don't take ownership over it, and I mean for everyone on this planet, if we don't take ownership over our own autonomy, that's going to be a problem. And I think
Well,
that's what
let me
created the
let me ask you
problem.
this. Let me ask you this. I love this
Sure.
conversation. You're fire. All right. I'm so happy. Like 5 minutes before the show, I was like, man, I can't do this. The energy's like killing me. But do you
Is it
feel
still
like
killing
that?
you?
Huh? It's
Is the
been like
energy
this
still
for
killing
five.
you?
It's been like this for 5 days. Uh,
What do you feel that's feeling like it's killing you?
Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. What's the day? Tuesday, right?
Yeah.
Through last night, I would say maybe till 2 o'clock in the morning. Every night's been massive lucid dreams,
Mm,
like five or six a night, in succession that are correlating with each other. Massive sweating, purging, so it's been a very intense time. So it kind of hit me because before the show started, it's kind of hot over here, and I decided 2 hours before to walk to the market and get some produce for my juice in the morning. By the time I got back, I was dying. I was sweating. But what I'm saying is that my soul said, enter this space, and then you came in and you were reflecting that part of me, that part of us, that part that we've all kind of tapped into. And then we start to second guess and go, oh
mm,
my God, I'm just thinking, I'm just like, this is not, my imagination or whatever. There is something happening that it's happening at the boots on the ground level. It's not on big podcasts. It's not in the papers, obviously. It's not even on the internet. They're all about that clickbait stuff. And I totally get about the narratives. I totally get that. But I feel like our souls are coming to a point, and I feel like the summer is very hot, where they're getting so much personal revealing that the universe is not
mm,
allowing them to bypass it anymore, or they're going to just kick your ass. You know what I mean? And so, as a result of that, we're seeing each other and the external in a way we never have. And it may sound mundane because it's not the galactic and the angelic and apparitions appearing. It's happening through direct human soul contact like this. Whether it's me and you in a room and nobody hears or we're on video or whatever, and nobody's privy to it, or it's even one of us by ourselves, because you got to remember, we came into this with divine union. All of us were souls. All of us are souls. We came into this. We've had divine union, many are incarnations. And now we're in a space where we have the opportunity and the potential where two or more gather, to use a Bible verse. I mean, to me, this is the power because it like overrides everything, the narratives, everything. Let me
mm.
ask you this. Is your life in the last few months become more localized? Like, is your experience um, being comprehended, hear what happens to you as you go to the market, as you go to Trader Joe's, and that weird stuff happens, or whatever the case is in your private moments, as opposed to what's going on in the world.
Absolutely. And I would say that that even if someone, right, doesn't share in your perspective or my perspective, which is irrelevant, the the shoulder to shoulder energy of I'm here for my neighbor, the same way that I'm here for myself, not in an old pattern which was created to disempower or to give away or to not honor one's own space first before they extend to the other person. That doesn't require them to be different. So therefore, there's no coming together with an expectation for someone that is a complete stranger, as you know, in the market that you come up against, to show them kindness and to show them respect because you've already made that part of your equation for your container, non-negotiables, right? Like those are just what I'm here for, and whether they have an experience of another ilk, it's not, I'm not trying to affect their world, I'm not trying to change them. I haven't come to save them. I'm not their teacher. I haven't put, I haven't come to take from them. I haven't come to need from them. I take away all the equations that create scenarios just by their own nature. What is the nature of those things? Why why do I need to be a teacher? Why do I need to have these titles uh, of nobility, right? To then to interact or to be kind or to assist. All of those things aren't necessary in my reality. So therefore, when I go out with my reality in every fiber of my being, whether I'm having a simple conversation or I'm having a more in-depth conversation with someone like you, Todd, that gets so much more. And it's exciting for me because then we can go to the left and to the right. And oh, we went up to seventh dimension and down, over here. And I'm
I don't know
watching
about
you
that. I
well,
think we're
I'm
at
watching you
3.1.
I'm watching you transform. Well, that's
Well,
neither
I'm
here nor there.
watching
Like,
you transform, and that's I think
yeah.
what the point is. It's like, I mean, yeah, I mean, to me, the intelligence and the experience and everything is moving so fast. Communication is not the same.
Hmm.
Context is not the same. It used to be we would get a download and, people would write about it and it'd be once a month and it'd be on some day and we'd get this huge influx of solar flares or whatever and people would be like on their ass for 2 weeks and then you come out of it and you go, oh, wow, we're a little bit lighter. Now it's like every 2 or 3 days.
That's
And
well
we're
said.
and we have the ability to process it. We don't have the ability, in my opinion, to figure out what the hell it was, but you can feel the lightness. And so, like having an exchange like this, I don't know about you, but I spend at least 12, 14 hours a day by myself. Okay. And have. It's important. I'm lucky to go to the
Hmm.
beach 2 blocks away. And let me ask you this way, because
Sure.
I always felt like to sit in this chair was to try to represent everybody. But like, is the chatter in your head, and there's no right or wrong, because everybody, like you said, is kind of in a different place, right? We're all different pieces of the puzzle. And the bottom line is we're in the same vibration, just here localized, it doesn't look the same. You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm.
oh, I see that in them, or they see that in me, or they said, but my point is, is the chatter in your mind, the old chatter, is it fading? Is it gone? Do you feel like that you're embodying soul? And I don't mean that because I know how you feel and I totally respect your humility. I totally do, sister. To say that, my life is being led by my soul now and not my emotional, needs or my traumas or whatever. Or do you feel like that there's been some change there, that the human nervous system is starting to calm down and balance?
Yes. Todd, I don't know if I ever spoken about this, but I definitely feel like I need to put this out there so it will
Please
be,
do.
yeah. When I was first going through my awakening process, and not in 2018, I'm talking all the way back to when I was like, oh my gosh, and I'm 56 now, so oh, um, 24, 25, uh, in my 30s, right?
Okay.
I would be attacked. Like, I would hear voices that
Yeah.
told me I was a piece of shit and that I
Yeah.
should kill myself. I mean, it was pretty intense. And it wasn't, and it sounded like my own voice. And, uh, and at times it didn't sound like my own voice. I felt like sometimes I was in a room with demons and they were literally, pushing for that. And in those processes of my 20s and my 30s, I came across, uh, physical abuse that arise from relationships as well, where I almost was killed on two occasions specifically. And with that said, uh, that's kind of where I came from. So to be able to be here now, those voices are not here. When I trumped the voices was when I realized that something about me and something and I would have people attack me also too on verbally and all that stuff, right? So lots of good things. Anyways, um because when you represent change, they're going to stop you even if you don't know who you are yet. That's what I was up against. So I share that with everyone from a humble perspective, because it doesn't matter where you begin. But if you start to break those pieces down, like, if I'm not a threat to you, why do you need to destroy me?
Yeah.
Why are you having me choose to get my free will to take myself out? It, why? Right? Because I was like, there's something about me that will create change. And I always knew that I sat in a position of compassion and love. My little birdie's coming to visit. And so all of those things combined, I share that with you because I know that you and I have talked about where you were at, before all this came about. So when we talk about the things that have stopped and all that, it's from an immense place of where we came from and what what uh what doesn't touch and play in our energies anymore. And they don't play in my energies because I don't I'm my own best friend. I don't I know that I'm not a piece of shit. I can be self evaluating, where before, when I first started, I didn't have self evaluation. So all of these things have grown me into the person and the choices that I've made. And every piece of it isn't pretty. And I want to put that on the platform so everyone knows that we're not having a conversation where you and I have evolved to this great place and we didn't go
I
through
love it.
every piece of this,
This is the energy I'm talking about. Thank you so much. Keep going.
And my pleasure. And so no, I don't hear those voices anymore. And then I noticed there was other things trying to come in, right? Through other people, or let's say through my own thoughts, or or how saw a situation. And I had to clean up all those things. And like you said, Todd, and it's such a beautiful remembrance, that the reflection is always ourselves in some format, and even if it is portrayed outside of ourselves. So one could say maybe that I myself believed all those things, or maybe I started from that point and there weren't demons in my head, right? And they didn't have access to me, and I was simply meeting up with the demons within myself. It doesn't matter the storyline, because in the end, can we love ourselves? Can we love ourselves enough
Yeah.
and have compassion for ourselves that
You
we
are,
don't need?
you need to be a preacher.
Oh,
No,
hallelujah.
but,
But you know what I
no,
mean? Can we have
but
enough compassion for ourselves not to do it to others?
well,
We
but the
don't know where
thing
they're at
is,
on this part.
here's the thing. Okay.
Okay.
Like listening to you, I'm listening to myself. So I know I'm seeing my reflection.
Yeah.
It's a prime example. Okay. Look, if you have an experience and you're in the light of the goddess, the god, the source, that, right? I mean, that's one thing. Is that going to take you deeper into your personal awareness? I mean, it's like the ultimate kind of thing. But the
Yeah.
darkness, like it's there, it's to me, it's like a shamanic template. This series of incarnations on the earth, which I believe we agreed to. We didn't know it was going to get to this extent. It's the most distorted at the very end, which makes sense.
Hmm.
This is like a summary life. But these episodes, be they 1 day, 1 minute, 10 minutes, 5 years, all the stuff that we've all had, okay? Because your story is the same story. It's the same story. But it brought us to ourselves. And from
Yes.
there, our mirrors start to equate. You know what I mean? And I'm
Hmm.
talking no judge now in this space, no judgment. I'm not projecting, so I'm not receiving projecting. And if I receive some projection, it's pretty quick. And I say, bless you. I'm moving this way, which is what you're talking about, like
Hmm.
choosing where you go now. And, and to me, it's so hard to explain. Like even doing the shows this year, it was probably middle of May before through the middle of May. It was like people would say, something's going on, but I can't explain it. But I feel like now we're starting to get a grip on it, and And I do feel like this summer is still bringing stuff up for us, not in a bad way, because we're starting to have a different perspective now, a different perception of what that we saw as, from a fear aspect, or, the fire, the flame, this is a good thing. We're all going to be on the other side together, but there is some kind of pure fucking gold that is a kind of like you only get one chance the first time, for the first time. There's only one first time. And that's kind of like speaking to the presence. And to be able to have the awareness, which is really um, grown or expanded in the moment by this type of exchange, or a individual just being themselves, right? Which is really what
Mm-hmm.
you exemplify. Like, I'm going to be myself. I'm going to take care of myself. That's the best thing you can do for you, and the best thing you can do for the universe. And it goes as deep inside as it does out that way. And so we start to have this experience that's based on my nervous system, my human slash soul. This is a meeting place. It's not like the soul comes in. Like, I love what you said earlier about, it's not like, you flip a switch and everybody's like, la, la, la. It's not like that. The
Mm-mm.
human part of it is the gold. It's the dirt. It's the grime. How many times have we looked at our human aspect and said it was a redheaded stepchild of the monad, or of our personal
Mm.
oversoul, right?
Yeah.
No,
Mm-hmm.
it's flipped now. This is a pole flipping. They come together. This is like, and many people think, different, whatever. You can think whatever you want, but like it's the end of a cycle of many, many cycles, at 26,000 years or whatever. It doesn't matter. All that matters is right now. To have an experience like this is fulfilling to me. Uh, and that's energy. You know what I mean? And it doesn't make
Mm-hmm.
sense, and it's not going to be on X or on CNN or anything like that. But I believe that there's this type of energy happening around the world, where people are taking in everything, ETs, fuckery, the government, the Vatican, all that stuff, and going, you know what? This is about me. And and that sounds, in the old world, the old paradigm, that sounds selfish or whatever. But no, it's like the Trinity. The best thing I can do for me is to be in the best possible, let's just say, spiritual health. And that's the
Mm-hmm.
best thing I can do for you, whether we talk every day or we never talk. Energetically speaking, that's a reflection that is going to serve positive purposes and expansion of this new consciousness and new code that we are here to do, which is basically, the universe says, hey, everybody go be an individual and have an individual experience, and gather that experience, and we'll bring it back and we'll put it all together, and boom, go do it again. This is the point. The point is that we're actually in form, having a life review, handling our shit so we can shift. You know what I mean? And coming together in the physical. And I personally believe, to defy, you might say, defy the realm in terms of ascending in the body.
Mm.
I'm going to live 800 years.
Well, it's interesting too, when you say that, I think to myself, ultimately, we haven't even yet determined what the human experience is um, outside of, like you were talking about the multi-universe, right? It's like we've been given the very littlest information at the poorest, smallest portion, right, of ourselves. Like we've been like, okay, we're in a human suit and we can't fly anymore, um, or we can't move anymore. And I say this because I was just listening to the quantum. Someone talked about quantum, and they were saying that because I'd spoken to two different people that told me that they used to fly when they were kids, that they literally could fly, and they were saying that when they were kids, they flew. And then this quantum girl was talking about how a particle can do anything until it's being observed, until it tells
Exactly.
someone else, and then the covering happens. Now, why am I sharing this story? Because if we look at each other and we can't uplift each other, and instead we have to think negative thoughts to plunder them when we ourselves know what that experience is like and how hard it is to get out. If we don't have compassion for one another in our own thinking mindset, and we are not going to master all the same thing. If you master being a chef and I don't know how to cook, should I think bad thoughts about you because you're the cook? Or should you think bad thoughts about me because I don't know how to cook, but you do? And we have to bring it down to the basics of that to understand that the brain got programmed for
Mm.
whatever reason, and it is our duty and responsibility that if we call it our body and our brain, that we do take accountability for what we think and what we do with those thoughts. Because as we enter now into this new phase, which 2025, you've identified it over and over again, that we are in a definite new phase. There's no doubt in our mind. We're in containers and all that stuff, right? The very least that everyone can do is start to pay attention to what thoughts they're forming in their brain about another person, about themselves. Because, like you were saying, if I've got energy coming at me, I'm like, whoa, you know what I mean? Where's that? What does my container look like? Let me go and take a look. Everybody has the right now to step into that without even doing the work of building their container, because the container already got built, because we're all building for the collectively speaking mindset, right? So what I build for myself cannot not be built in the universe for everyone, because everyone deserves a container. If I deserve a container, doesn't everyone deserve a container? And as I'm building, how do I know that I'm not building a container for everybody in the entire world? You know what I mean? Like,
Well, I mean,
what is
that's
the
the thing.
limit?
That's the thing. I mean, like okay, we're in a quantum thought reality. We've come that
Yep.
far in the comprehensive spirit science, the blend of it all, right?
Yep.
Um, why? Well, let me not say it this way. What would be more powerful in the environment that we've shared, where we both are at least on the way to understanding we are soul, whether we understand it or not, uh, but also been subjected to the human condition? What would be more powerful than my thought of another person? That's the closest kind of mirror. I can have a dog, I can have a cat, I can have a relationship with other aspects in the external, even out there. But my thoughts towards a physical mirror of me, to me, carry the most impact on an energetic basis, and that is the Vesica Pisces. I don't mean walk around like Buddha, la, la, la. I'm not taking anything away from Buddha. I'm just saying, look, we are the boots on the ground. We've all been through the trauma. Everybody's
Mm-hmm.
pain is the same. I'm sorry, but that's just the way it is. We're talking energy. We're not talking stories. And we've come to this place as you've brought us to, with what you brought up, where, it's not even a choice anymore. This is bigger than all of us. Whatever we've been involved in, the tides have shifted. I don't care what's going on out there. There is something happening on a local level, and that can be physical, that can be virtual like this, that can be in the ethers. Like if you lay down tonight and and you talk about, or you put out certain people, 5 or 6 people, you open your heart to them and send great energy. I mean, this is real. This is what
Absolutely.
has been suppressed,
Mm.
and that is, I guess another way you could put it is, because I always try to humanize everything. The more conversations we have with the big Todd and the little Todd, whether we're in the no bullshit zone, doesn't matter who hears it or doesn't hear it and who I tell or don't tell, because that's not even going to work in my favor. But to actually confront and look at everything, because everything is me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So I take the blame off the table, the shame off the table. So, I get about the antagonists in our life, but maybe it's not about the narrative. As an example, maybe it's not about the narrative of these people have been executed in Guantanamo Bay, and justice will be served on the movie script in the global stage.
Mm.
Maybe the real challenge or potential or access is to be how we look at those things. And are we holding it in this neutrality, not to sound like fluffy love and light either, to actually take in the horrific and take in the light and bring it into the middle and have compassion for those reflections of ourselves? Because is there anything outside of ourselves that isn't us, including AI? Because this is all within the construct of this realm and we come from beyond it.
Yeah, what you're asking is so deep. That has layers, that. What you
Yeah,
just asked was like, okay, let's go real deep into that layer. I would say uh absolutely. And at the same time, no. Like it's a lot of everything and it's a lot of nothing.
that's what we're doing right there.
Yeah.
Right? That's what we're doing. You said it perfect. So on one hand, we're going, yes, I am soul. I get it. But on the other hand, we're going, I'm not done. Like I need to feel this. I need to examine this. I need to
Hmm.
judge this. I need to, see this or whatever. Because the human, maybe it's a simulation, maybe it's a game or a university or a school or whatever the hell. But the bottom line is the universe doesn't do anything without conscious intent. And that intent is to have a broader experience, a bigger palette to paint from. And this is the goal that we have. And I think we're just getting into it. Like we're just getting into it. Like if you let me ask you, if you look back at your beliefs a year ago, 2 years ago, when we met, my
Hmm.
own, like we're not even close to the same person. We're not more pious.
Mm-mm.
We're not more enlightened. We're not more awakened. We're actually moving into greater states of not knowing anything.
It's funny, I think we're almost in a more defined state of grace. If I
Mm,
were to put one word to it,
mm, mm,
it's the grace of it all because
mm.
we didn't put our heels in somewhere and say it either goes this way or I'm out.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And in the process, everything that's come has been defined as grace to me because I couldn't have imagined. And like you, I take what comes in that moment and then I examine it from like a whole 360 approach, not a singular approach. And maybe when I first started, it was a singular. And then now I'm able to add more definitive viewpoints. And in the viewpoints, honestly, sometimes it's from another person's viewpoint that helped me see wider. Like today it's you, Todd. You and I are together, and we're sharing viewpoints because that's all there is, a point to view from something that is a very expansive experience in
It's
so
like
many
we're
ways.
mountain
And
climbing.
oh my God, and it's huge because you can't even we haven't even encompassed. Like I often see things sometimes where I'm like looking back at myself, and we're already at the finish. And I
Right.
was like, why didn't I see that piece of it?
Oh, I call that the
Right.
stupid.
I was like, why didn't I just jump in and understand it was from this perspective? And then I'm like, oh yeah.
I,
And so that, and also too, I feel like we're small versions of who we really are because I've seen myself as a giant. And so
of
I'm like,
course,
I'm in
yes.
a I'm in a I'm in a giant state, but at the same time, I'm now a little person it's so strange, right? So I'm like, okay, that doesn't make any sense. So I've got a lot of things that haven't made their way in full connection, but I believe the nervous system is reconnecting parts of the brain to other parts of the brain that were disassociated because a friend said to me that when you don't use your brain, it starts to actually become smooth and it doesn't have the crevices because the neurons aren't fighting to get together with one
Right,
another.
right, right.
So, right. So that's kind of interesting. So I thought in some ways we're even reworking the neurons in the brain and the nervous system through all of this, but we're not consciously doing it. So the body is doing it with
Right,
us.
right.
As you would ask, is the body part of this?
It's like,
Absolutely.
and it's like the over identification with I'm only human, which includes the body, includes the ego,
Hmm.
basically entrenches those things because we move away from our godliness, you might say, you know. And another thing I want to point out too, which is really good in your story, which we're going to have to talk about the next time, 'cause we got to do this again.
I can't even imagine how late we've been on the. I was like, let's
Hour
take a
and
look.
20 minutes.
Oh
Um,
damn.
but when you were talking about hearing voices in the
Yeah.
90s, I heard voices in like 2010. I know many other people that did. Look, we've had chemtrails, you know, GMOs, fluoride, programming on television, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Can't, you know, and we've also had psychotropic technology. We also
Mm,
have metal in our bodies and all this stuff. Look, we've fucking overcome this stuff. We've at least kept our head above water. And I know
hmm.
people might be transitioning, and sometimes we have to pull in our soul's perspective, you know, and grace everyone's personal journey, even what it looks like on the human level, right?
Mm,
But you know, for me, it's like, how do I navigate this thing? It's moving so fast, and I really feel like it's in the moment. And it's that whole thing, not so much the golden rule, although that's in every religion I ever studied, which was many, um, in their own words, is what goes around comes around. And it's not so much even karma, okay? It's just the way it is. Our intentions are pure. Our awareness of what we are is pure. And I feel like we're moved into a level of in the physical where we're merging the physical and the non-physical to merge our free will with universal will. And that's located right here, like in my body.
100%.
In my
Yep.
body, my heart, my non-human mind, I might say, but even my
Yeah.
brain, my whole thing, my physical and my non-physical. In other words, this body is a physical soul. It's somehow connected there, and the technology and the intelligence is available because every atom, every cell is structured the same way. Like I don't even know. Like I feel like with the shows I've done, the people I've talked to, like what's going to happen, particularly Franco Di Nicola. Some of the things he talked about, and the way he did, before he transitioned in 21. We're about to head into a place where the only evidence I can personally give to myself are lucid dreams that I've had through those first 12 years, 2012 through 24. Um, Lucid dreams where I actually experienced the kind of skills and abilities and sensitivities and reality that we are stepping into, which included teleportation and bilocation and no space and no time. Like me and you were sitting here talking, and all of a sudden we're having a sandwich together and a cup of tea, in the physical. It's like more like a dream kind of state. So
Mm.
it feels to me like the ceiling's breaking. Call it the firmament, call it whatever you want to. I don't care about those narratives. I just feel the energy of the individual expanding in a way that we don't really and we haven't really talked to each other about.
You're making such a good point, and here's what I heard within my own soul when you said that, and it pointed me to a view that I really wasn't looking over at, but I heard a lot of people that are having their own awakening, saying peace to the God within you, peace to the God within me, and and it like expanded that saying where I literally saw you. Okay, guys, get ready to know this, but Todd, I saw you as as a God, not the God, not our heavenly Father, not the creator of all living light, but a God that has when you said it, I literally like went into a bunch of different dimensions at one time just now. Like I chopped out, and when you said firmament, I saw that you were expanded past that firmament, that you were not contained by an idea of a firmament. And then I was like, he in himself is standing within the God within him, which is um, something that I wasn't sure how it would incorporate in, but the covenant, the Ark of the Covenant, Ark meaning the beginning, the covenant meaning the agreement that one has agreed upon that's sacred in nature. We read about the Ark of the Covenant and they go, where's the Ark of the Covenant? Well, the Ark of the Covenant is within each individual, and the Ark of the Covenant is the soul agreement with its divine maker and its agreement to align to that which is honorable and it honorable on a deeper level to oneself, because it doesn't matter if I'm honorable to you if I'm not honorable to the part of me within that I can't adhere to. So
Yeah.
you are, I am, everybody is. There is no defining of that in terms that we know to be here on this planet, because
It's the
that
first
was
time.
scrubbed. Yeah, that was scrubbed. That was scrubbed from the origination
Yeah.
of, right. And it was anything outside of ourselves. It couldn't be us. It had to be something outside. So we're waiting
Right.
for,
Right. Who
right, the savior. But I was
and
just shown that. So I know that to be
I
true
love
because
that. No, no,
you
I
lent itself to it. You
there's so
pointed, and
much
then I was like, oh, wait, oh, wait. And then I was like, that
there's
viewpoint
so
is
much coming in between the
crazy.
words. But
So
I
good.
always say to myself, or my soul does, I guess it's becoming one voice, right, for all of us. Thank you
Mm-hmm.
for this evening. I appreciate it. Um, is who better to fake you out than yourself?
Oh,
Do you
that's well
get it?
said.
Okay. So
Yeah.
as I was listening to you, I realized something I never talked about. I don't think I've ever talked about it in 12, 13 years on these shows. But I remember when I first reawoke in 2011 and the downloads and apparitions and all the divine stuff started happening. I remember I was taken to, um, I guess, wow, this is heavy. Um, yeah, okay. So I guess to the inception of my incarnation in this particular life. And there
Mm.
was a table. It was like an oval table, and I'm laying on it. Is the only way I could describe it. And as I'm looking up, all I can see is the cosmos, right? Like it's just like, space. And there were people or souls around the table, and they were like represented as light beings, okay? And and I guess it was kind of like I would say like I was a baby, but not in like a little baby. I was at the baby stage, or I was waking up to something, and so all of us were agreeing or talking about what this life would be. And again, as the individual goes, so goes the rest. You know what I mean? So this
Mm-hmm.
is a metaphor. And I remember uh the things that happened, and like, let's plan this out, and there was the numbers and the geometry and the stories and all this stuff. And some of the people that were at that table around me were antagonists in my life. And I feel like that part of what's happening to us is we're coming into a consciousness that we're starting to realize even those players that played those parts in our lives are as close to us as anything else.
Mm.
In other words, if you were going to come down here on earth and have have a living hell, or the traumas of the dark nights or whatever and all that,
Mm-hmm.
who would you choose, and who would you choose to do it for? Who would it be but those who are most closest to you? Because look, triggers and
Mm.
activations are the same damn thing. Circumstances and consequences are the same thing if you think about it in the present moment. Like when I went on the street, and those years ago when I reawoke, and the things happened to me like happened to everybody else, and I suffered far less in my opinion, but I was there by myself. And I had to go through those processes that we all do, where we go, that was on that person. I know I was a good person, and we've all been there as empaths because we overgive and our hearts are so big.
Mm-hmm.
But until we got to the point, or I did, I can only speak for myself. And it came in, they said, you know what? Circumstances and consequences are the same damn thing because you're right here. Doesn't matter how you got here. It matters about where you are and where you're going. And I feel like that's where we're at. I feel like a
Mm.
lot of the stuff that's been, adhered to us, that's been holding us back, that's been handicapping us is gone. And the only thing that's playing out are the echoes in our minds. But, you know, I think we should give ourselves some grace. And I think that's a great word. I'm glad you brought it up because this stuff isn't just about this life. It's a whole lineage. It's a whole experience. It's like we had one life, overall, like say in
Mm.
the human lineage, the souls came into the
Yeah.
human okay, and every incarnation, whether you had 3 or 3,000, was another year. Okay, it was just another year. It was another phase, and it's all coming in to us when we realize what we have done. I believe that our self love and our self respect and our mutual love and respect is going to go through the fucking roof. And that's what the bad actors have been trying to hold down is that because I think, it used to be
Mm.
the first step to awakening was awareness. But now I believe what happens is the intelligence and the consciousness is so expanded that once it comes into your awareness, like even if you thought something your whole life, for 63 years, I thought this,
Mm-hmm.
and boom, it's gone. And that's gone. It's not a concern anymore. And I reach a higher level of expansion. Once we become aware of something, which I think you kind of alluded to or spoke to a minute ago, which was about having a conversation, which is what I try to do in Soulogy, like putting up 200 or 300 posts a day. And they're all different kinds, but it's just to make people think, make myself think. Am I limited? Am I open to things that don't make me feel good? Like, how do I feel about this?
I will tell you everything you just said. There were so many layers in it, and I was seeing so much more than I anticipated. I thought I would see when you were sharing that because you went back to the beginning of yourself energetically. Then you took me through time and space, and you were showing me how the functionality of it was moving from a very uh, logistic but simplistic way, where the mind kind of over explain something, like especially as women they always say you guys are so, we're thinking of 110 different more details to it, but men are more straight to the point, and that's how you explained it. So I will be re-listening to this portion of it so I can go further
See, I thought
in,
I was in my
because
I thought I was in my feminine. I was doing the 100,000 points of light thing.
you weren't, you were doing, it was
I know.
beautiful. You
I'm not.
were showing
I'm just.
us
I'm just. I'm just.
the mastery of being able to see it
I don't know about.
from a
I mean,
listen, if you go and deny a mastery lives within you, then should we all deny the mastery lives within us? I
here,
think,
here. Yes, yes. Thank
right,
you.
I
I
think the
digress. I digress. Yes,
yeah, the
yes, yes.
mastery is not the idea of a pedestal. The mastery is
The mastery
the
is motion. The motion of
yes.
mastery, and
Mm-hmm.
especially where two or more gather. Thank you. I
Yeah.
digress. You're right. It's exactly what I was just talking about. Like own your shift. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Face
you were
your
doing it,
shit, and
and then
own
you're
your
like, "Don't
shit.
look at that over here that I just did that. Don't look. It's
Well,
not
it's that,
me.
it's that,
It's
it's
the
that, it's,
teleprompter."
yeah, yeah. I think a lot of people that identify at an early age as an empath, very sensitive, can
Yeah.
relate to that, where things come to you, where they come so strong and you know things, right? And you develop this false modesty or false humility. But there's a real humility coming in now every
Hmm.
fucking day. I don't care who you are. I've had many conversations with people that are talking about their families. They're seeing it in their families who are quote unquote not awake, the ones that thought they were crazy. People are We are all, look, the apocalypse means in the Greek etymology, unveiling, revealing.
Mm,
And the greatest level of that, which only makes sense because I am that, you are that, we are that, is for it to happen for us personally. Because if it happens with us personally and we become into the awareness and we can accept that and we can feel and it expands, it's going to have an immediate reflection. And I personally don't believe anybody knows the potential of what can happen. I don't believe that the future is contained, and regulated. I don't. Now, the cycles might be in the design, the grand design, you know, but even if I look at stars and dates and numbers, and I feel like we're moving past that too. Like everything that we've been given is gone, not just the traumas, but the downloads, the transmissions, because it's all a part of the past, even if it
mm.
came from the future per se. So what are we left with? We're left with ourselves. And if you like, I love Joseph Campbell, and I say it many times, but if you can't get it here, you can't get it anywhere. This is it
Mm.
right here. Eternity is now. There is no time. It's right now in this experience that we've had, which has been beautiful. And I'm so happy that we did it. And I would love for you to come back in 2 or 3 months and, and sit
Yeah,
down
no
and
pressure.
see what's
I'm going
happening.
nowhere. I'm going nowhere. Me and my container will be here. Yeah, it was a pleasure, Todd. There was so
Yeah,
much that I didn't even know I would experience in this
yeah,
time that we've spent together. And honestly, it just feels like you and I catching up.
yeah,
And I'm glad that everyone else was able to be a part of it.
yeah,
And it was just a blessing.
yeah.
I
It's
didn't even
been, it's
anticipate. I got so much gratefulness for this
me too. I
experience.
mean, and
So
I feel
thank
like
you.
I feel like that's what it is. I mean, I was talking to a friend of mine last night, and they were talking about giving and receiving, or I was saying giving and receiving, like we're giving and receiving at the same time, and they were like, it's called sharing. And I'm like, yes, that's what it is. Well, that's what it is. We've gone through these experiences, and because of the experiences and the lineage and the other incarnations, and we put up these shields. The veils weren't there. The veils weren't
Mm.
put up by the Illuminati and all that stuff. That's a reflection of the veils we put up for ourselves, which was basically shrouding our soul, shrouding our heart. And now we're breaking out. And it's
That is well
scary.
said.
You know
That
what I
is well
mean?
said. Yeah, that is well said. And also to remembering as a human what we were capable of when so long we were part of a narrative instead of a free thinking spiritual being. We were
Yeah.
following the narrative. We chose to step away from following the narrative, no matter how painful, let's say, that occurred or was created from it. And then all that narrative did was bring us back to the narrative, but with different tool sets to be part of the narrative and create a new narrative.
Right.
We're creating a new narrative. That's the container piece of it that we don't want to lose. That we
Well,
are creators in our own right, and we're not creating to overlap someone else's creation. We're creating to create our own creation
yeah.
because that's the God within us coming out to be the creator,
It's all
which I
new.
saw you are, and it is all new
It's
and
all new. It's never been done before. That's why, like,
not not in a really long time. I
well, when,
wonder if it was like this at the beginning. I'm not really sure.
well, I would say no, because things have occurred since then, and it's through the experience that we actually gain the code. So, like when people talk about
Hmm.
Lemuria or Atlantis or the other ones, Egypt or etc. Look, I've had vivid memories from Lemuria and from Atlantis, and people, and I'm not throwing shade on anybody. I'm trying to make a point. All right, so they're like, "Oh, we need to get back to that level." Well, we're above that level. We contained all that experience. You know what I mean? I can
Hmm.
remember in Lemuria before things shifted, um, and I don't know how to explain this because you know how that level of that language in the multidimensional isn't like English, but I would put it this way, like, living on an island like Hawaii, I had a physical body, but a lot of my day I was in, I would say almost like I guess like a plasma body or a light body, and I would go into the ocean, and I would. So I don't know if my body stayed on the island or, but there was a whole different range of the physicality, so to speak. And I guess what I'm saying is everything that we remember, everything that we imagine, everything that we can consider that's entered our mind, so to speak, is a part of us. And now we've been given all that information and we can walk forward. And it's weird because we're coming from, like you said, you remember you're a giant, but yet you're also this little person. So,
Hmm.
it's kind of like walking together and they're coming together and they're coming together, and it's human and soul and it's physical and non physical, masculine and feminine, the last line of separation in the illusion of this, of this realm. So, and I feel like the only place to really even get a grasp of that is in the moment. It's not in theory, it's not in postulation, it's not in predictions, it's not in prophecy. It's just right here, right now, and that's really what we have. It's just
It's so interesting that you say prophecy, because the prophecy um, has to be malleable. Otherwise, if it's already predestined, then we wouldn't be here,
well,
right? Think
it's
about
kind of
that,
yeah, of course, it's kind of like
right? If it's predestined, then we wouldn't be here. We didn't, I know I didn't come here and say, well, since it's predestined, I'll go ahead and come down to the earth and do it.
yeah.
That doesn't make any sense
Look, we
to my
bought.
brain anyway.
Listen, it has to be important, and the reason I say that, even if considering technology that might have been above our head, like psytropic
Yeah.
technology, there's too many people. And here's the thing: regardless, like from the day you were born, or from when this started happening around 2012, and more people came together, or even what's happening now.
Hmm.
Whether you're looking at a light worker leader, or you're looking at a political leader, or whatever the case is, we're entering the no bullshit zone. The truth frequency is prevailing. It's prevailing first and foremost within ourselves. And it's allowing us, by virtue of that, because we have less judgment, prejudice, and bias, to look out onto the landscape of life and see things for what they are. And
That's well said.
if it's bullshit, regardless of your political affiliations, it doesn't even matter because they're all going to end up being the same thing. Okay. There is no ownership. There is no possession. We are souls. We are free energy of the universe. There are no borders. And I believe we're moving more and more every day to be letting go of these things. And it's not going to be the earthquakes and the volcanoes and the spaceships landing and the bullshit. That's not going to be the apocalypse. The apocalypse is going to be, I'm taking away this belief. I'm taking away this identity. I'm taking you
Mm,
guys down to a space, a sacred space that I hope this place represents, where you're butt fucking naked to the soul. And you're
that's
there
deep.
going, hey, sister, you're just like me. I'm just like you. There is no difference. You know what I mean? Like, I've
Mm,
been through the human experience, and we become such a more expansive, universal soldier because of it, because on this planet, there has been more diversity seated than anywhere ever. You know, at least
that's
in this,
deeply said.
at least in this universal, at least in, let's say, this universe, or at least in this galaxy, because obviously it's endless, but it's
So
always good.
interesting.
It's always good to be a
Tom.
cheerleader for the team, though.
Yeah, but it's so interesting too, because they kept showing me mentis, which is the mental.
Hmm.
They kept saying that it's all mental,
Yeah.
and you're moving through the mental, right? When you're making different choices, even the way you want to think.
Yeah.
So we may all be, ultimately in hyperspace, as they did in the Matrix, right, where everyone was in these cocoons, and
Right.
all that's ever occurring is the mental. But what an empowering state of mental that you're providing for this
Well,
conversation.
the mental, I think, that's a very good point, because the mental, there is. it's okay. It's like, oh, my emotional's okay. I'm going to put it over there. You're not part of the equation anymore. Or my physical's over there, etc. They're all part of it. And the
Mm-hmm.
mental is important. And I thank you for bringing that up because I don't hold that in the regard. I have not held that in the regard that I probably should for my own, my own benefit. But the mental is the part where, okay, I leave this show and somebody messages me or calls me or have an encounter at the convenience store or whatever, and a trigger effect happens.
Mm.
The mental part, I feel, just like the emotional, because the emotional spectrum of the human is so unique in the universal field. You know, it's a power source that's been siphoned, and now we're starting to regulate it and utilize it for creativity. But the mental is important because the mental is kind of a bridge between the physical and the non-physical. So when those thoughts come in, or as empaths, you feel something come in that you're used to taking in because you have a big heart, you can say no. And I believe a
Mm.
lot of people are saying no. And that's why a lot of people are in isolation through force or through flow right now. There's a lot of life reviews occurring, you might say as a frequency, metaphorically, that people are being faced with themselves. And because they are handling that with integrity, honesty, sincerity, courage, and love, we are impacting what we're looking at. And so there'll
That's
be
well
no more,
said.
you know what I mean? So there'll be no more about, oh, what are they saying is going to happen? What do they say is going to happen? What do they say is going to happen? No, no, no. It's not going to be like that because because we're becoming so absorbed or more embodied with what we truly are, which is love and
Mm.
peace and kindness. I mean, compassion doesn't even come there because it's encapsulated within it. And most of all, creation, because this realm has caused a stagnation. Oh, I'm going to get here and everything's going to be okay. Or I need to come become this and everything's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Or I be in this relationship and everything's going to be okay. And then boom, 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 everything's taken away. The bottom line is it's a constant spiritual inertia moving. It never stops. And as we start to go, oh, okay, don't slow this down. It's like jumping in a river and fighting to get back to the, you know what I mean? Like hang on to a tree. When you go with it and you let go and you're like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to live or die. You know what I mean? It's like,
Mhm.
okay, I don't know what's going to happen. We're entering an unknown space, and that's where the power is. That's where the real
Wait,
power is.
don't you think we've been in the unknown space like you were mentioning originally, the COVID thing? That put a lot of people in the unknown space. That catapulted
Yeah.
them out of like going to work every day, like
Yeah.
the stopping of all their patterning
Yeah.
that makes them not think or be with themselves or not
Yeah.
address maybe anxiety. Like that, that's what I felt COVID was. It
That
was
was
like
huge. That was
that was
huge.
a
No,
whole team, but it was global.
that's
And that's
perfect.
what was so amazing, right? So if we think of everybody, we think of a global community, not a
Right.
California community or
Right.
a United States. So that was the first non-negotiable, even though everyone, even though where it stemmed from was maybe something else, it's still presented with it. Um, it's still presented with it something pretty grand, global,
Yeah.
global stopping, global stopping of this, global stopping of that, and some can say, well, they were trying to. This is the first stop to a second stop, but the thing is that if you believe in a higher, creation, can anything really be done that isn't allowed by the creator? And is the creator not in charge of this? Based on
Right.
my Ark of the Covenant, he is, and I am simply a daughter of the issue of of the origination of where it all began,
Yeah.
as you are, as everyone else is, if they choose to acknowledge that within themselves. And I think that there's a lot of shame around acknowledging the light within yourself, uh, because we've said that ego takes over, but there is not ego there if you don't choose it. But to accept ourselves wholly and completely, as,
You can't.
made from perfection. We were made from perfection. We don't have to be
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah.
That's not the story. The
I
story
don't.
is that we were made with that light and love, and it's ours to claim back in its
Yeah.
full authority without having to even jump through hoops. That belongs to every person, and maybe you and I went about it this way or that way for our own reasons. Maybe that was purposely intended, but
Mm.
would I want that love and light to be earned the same way we earned it? Let's say, no, absolutely not. I would gladly turn and hand it to my brother on the left of me, my sister on the right of me, with a gift wrap bow that says, "Here, this may have taken me, the climb me and Todd and I were
Take
climbing
everything
to
I have. Yeah. Take
Todd and I
everything.
climbed to the top of the mountain, but would we not turn around and just hand it to each
Yeah, of
person? Would we
course.
ask
Yeah.
them, "Well, if you want what I got, you better climb that mountain like
No,
we
no, no,
did"?
no.
We
That's
would
exactly
never do
right.
that.
That's exactly right. And I
Yeah.
think that's a really good point about the COVID thing because for all the interruption in the old paradigms, template, which was, people living in a house with other people that hadn't to talk to these people in 5 or 10 years,
Yeah.
yet they have to stay home, so they have to see each other, and then that opens up their own self-awareness. But I think the most impactful part was the kids, because the
Oh, yeah.
kids are carrying a higher band of frequencies, and I truly believe that we'll be learning from them much quicker and much differently than we could even imagine. And it's not even in the rational or the verifiable or the linear or the human way. This is a higher level of tech, and I think that's another thing about the
Mm,
tech that we see as a reflection, like AI and whatever technology, primarily that they haven't showed us. Okay, it's really a reflection of us. What the difference is we didn't know what we were and what we contain, and those things are going to be coming out. Mateus de Stefano talks about how he, like Franco, he had a lot of recall of his past lives, you know, not just Earth, right? So recall of other ascensions, and he talks
mm,
about this ascension being done with technology. So in other words, technology being a reflection. Technology, if I look at technology, AI or whatever, and I look at it as a adversary or an antagonist or a threat, it's a whole different relationship, and I
mm,
perpetuate the realm that we just came out of, which is, oh my God, someone's out to get you, go buy a gun so you can protect your family. No, it's God. Everything is the same thing. It's all the same universal energy. I represented that. I'm made in the image of that, and it's not incumbent upon me. I don't have to do anything, but I have the potential to do that in every moment as the creator that I am. So
mm.
we're moving into, I've had many people come on the show, obviously. And I can remember over the years, channelers and transmitters or whatever saying, man, the whole universe is like on the edge of their seat. Like they couldn't believe that you
Mm,
guys could come this far this fast, right? And I remember when I first got into the to the this particular show, 2017, 2016, uh, people would come on, even Franco. Franco, I remember came on, Judith Kuzel. They're talking about 2050 and 2042 and 2035. I'm like, bullshit. I'm not waiting that long. But the even if you look at Agenda 2030 from the UN,
mm,
they've moved that up 5 years. So like there is something to that. We're moving very, very rapidly. We are the power, and it
mm-hmm.
is through this
You've always said that.
personal, yeah, it is this personal journey that's really driving this whole thing. So you can't teach me anything. I can't teach you anything. I
Correct.
might be able to like you were saying, like, oh, you're making me think, or you've made me do that several times today. But the bottom line is I've got to experience it. And how do you experience something? You don't experience something by going, oh, that's not me. I'm not going to go look over there because we know we don't have to do things physically. We can enter that space energetically, right?
Yes, we can.
We take everything face on, and ultimately we accept it all, as you just said so eloquently. It's all the same thing. Like, it's like the age old faith quake people happen was, God, how can you let this happen? Well, this is a story. If I take it upon
Mm,
myself, where do I take that story? Do I say, oh my God, that's horrible. Let's go fight a war. Let's go conquer these people. Let's go hang them and put them in jail. Or do I say, hey, yeah, I am God. Wait a minute. Every one of these fractals is just like me. Honor their paths. Okay. Yeah. Do what you have to do from the soul. But I think
yeah,
the days of the human, um, let's just say the human emotional quotient imbalanced, making the decisions is gone. And now the soul is making these decisions from the experience of the human heart, which is a range of all the emotions, the anger and the bliss and all that stuff. And it's a real thing, Heart Math Institute. Like, I mean, it's a whole other brain, it's a whole other energy. I mean, we're coming into our own. Yeah,
that
thank you
that is
for letting me get in my
profound.
soapbox. I thought we were supposed to
You're
sign
not
off.
honestly, you're not on your soapbox. Everything you said is it's helping end cap the various conversations that we had today. So I think it was needed because it we had a lot. You and I we went over here, we went over there, we went up, we went down, and it needed a finishing piece of it
Mm.
that you provided. So thank you.
Well, it's been a powerful few days, and all I really, like I said, I'm very, very grateful and humbled to be in this space. I really am. The energy is a whole different thing. I mean, I'll probably have to lay down for an hour, just. But yeah, I just want to keep going back into the space, whether it's with myself, with another person, whether it's private, whether it's on a show, or whether it's going down the street in this beautiful town and Mexican
Yeah.
families offer me things and help me. I mean, I really
Oh,
feel like that, or sitting at the beach or going into the forest or whatever, I really feel like that this is our strength. Our strength is our own, I don't want to use this word,
what word is it?
but our own sanity. But when I say sanity, I'm talking mental, emotional, physical, spiritual. Another way to put it would be, well, for me, the barometer has become my nervous system.
Mm.
It really has. It really is loud now. Like I had a situation 2 or 3 days ago, and I immediately went. I could feel it. I could feel the hyperventilating. I could feel my nerves, and I said to the person, I'm not going to take on your energy, or your angst. And they said to me, which was very appropriate, they said, well, don't.
You're like, and I won't. Thank you.
I'm like,
Thank you for the
okay,
confirmation.
but my body still felt it. I was
Yeah.
able to get through it. It was okay. We have so much within our DNA from the incarnations that we've had, not just the ones we've had individually, but the ones that we share, because it is a beehive intelligence. It is an infinite intelligence, and that's part of what's coming in. That's why the consciousness and the awareness is growing so rapidly and expansive, and we're able to process so quickly, is because we're not just pulling from ourselves. We are, it's a micro macro, but we're also
Hmm.
tapped in. Like you and I today, there are things that are not being said between us, okay, that we're picking up from each other.
100%. We're communicating on multiple levels. Like you and I have played in several above, and I think the ones that watch this that are also playing there will see it because it's happening. And there's something you just said that was pretty profound. The beehive. Whether I'm on my own and I go and I look at our spiritual community, let's say, right? Because I'm connected to the spiritual community. I'm connected to the community that is, that is identifying with the laws and the legal system and what's out of alignment with all that. I'm playing everywhere. Like I have no limits on where I can play and what I can contribute. I contribute with an open heart and support, and I receive so much. And that was the part that I was telling you in our email originally, that legal and law situation is growing men back into their integrity and making choices. And so there's, when we think about the impact of all of us are having upon one another in such a positive way, there are no words.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know when I look in the spiritual community, we are vibing with the same things. Like when you were talking about the fact that your body's heated up and your nervous system is being heated, and maybe we're not safe, or maybe we're like, I gotta lie down, or sometimes I'm like trying to walk, and I'm like, I feel like I'm drunk. I'm like breathing into the pillow as my face
That's like
hits it.
every
I'm like,
day, isn't it? That's like
yeah,
every
I was
day.
like, whoa, it's crazy, right? And I none of it's an issue because I know it's doing
That's
something that's far beyond what I can comprehend, but that I want to be a part of. And so I ask for grace and ease, and then I'm in it. I don't ask for it to be removed, right? Because I'm like,
right,
if
right.
this is taking me or the collectors to the highest, I'm in it. And then I will, be studying something that I felt called to look at to learn more stuff, right? And then
Right.
I go to my legal people that have done their stuff, and it's all similar information, but from different angles. So no one can tell me that I'm not collectively a part of something pretty amazing
Right.
that has no words. And that means that we are already connecting with one another, whether we can identify it or not. I use that as a way to identify that I'm linking up with them on multi-level dimensions that aren't even talked about, or visually maybe they don't even know about, but that are happening no matter what. And I'm solid matter in those areas. I'm
Yeah.
not just a
Yeah.
soul. I am, like you were saying, in the multiverse, I am there also.
Yeah.
Even if my brain hasn't caught up to that, it matters not at
Well,
all
I think, yeah,
because I'm there.
I think,
I'm
yeah,
there.
I feel like it's so hard to define these things. Okay.
Hmm.
But like listening to you, we're energy. So my
Yes.
energy isn't just on the physical plane. And even the physical plane, it's multifaceted. It's got emotional, it's got mental, it's got et cetera, et cetera. You got the light body, you got the etheric, there's all this stuff going on. It's quantum entanglement. Okay. But, the thing is it is coming from us. And I love what
Yes.
you said about that experiment. I think it was what, like 100 years ago, they call it the slit or the double slit. So when a particle was on the other side of the wall, it looked a certain way. When they started to film it, it changed, just like you talked about, like
Hmm.
being observed. Being observed changes who I am. Now, am I being observed or not being observed? It doesn't matter if I am or I'm not. It's what I'm carrying. So about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I heard really loud, and I put a post up, and they said to me, act like nobody's watching you. And what that meant to
Mm.
me was be you. So be Todd. Now, I know I'm not Todd. I know I'm not just this body. But with everything you are in this moment, which is the only time you're going to be in this moment, the first time is the only time. You don't get a second chance. Is just be that composite, be that soul, be that Todd, be that Lemurian, be that Atlantean, be those memories, be this and that and the other thing, but leave all that shit right there. You can't bring it in like a bunch of trophies. Step into this space where 5 minutes before you're going, I don't know if I can do this. And
Hmm.
you enter the space and you have an experience without agenda, without expectation. You have a present, eternal moment experience. And in that, especially with the storytelling, in my opinion, okay, because if you look at the human lineage, what has survived everything? The oral tradition of the Aborigines, of the Native Americans, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera,
Mm.
right? This isn't stuff that was written down, okay? And whether it came from the people from the sky or not, it's not the point. The point is there is a golden thread that holds us all together that's materializing in the free world, you might say, that is nobody knows what it is now. It's like, it's like you mentioned somebody earlier, like Jesus or Buddha handed us a template. We're not to go and just, oh, okay, let me download this and embody this and we'll conduct my life this way. No, it's to add to. It's to give us the memory back, but to add to, like a remix, to add
Mm-hmm.
to it our experience, because it's not, it's the information that we gained, it's the enlightenment that we gained, the awakening that we gained, the self understanding and love that we gained from the experience that actually teaches us. That's why so many people, if you talk to them now, look back at the traumas and go, "Oh my God." Like for me, like that 2 years on the streets was the best time of my life. Now at the time, I would have said, "Fuck no."
Yeah, of
But
course,
but
right?
as you look back and you can and you, it's humility. It's humble pie. It's 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 where you go. I am just like everybody else. You know, it's. And how do we show up to do that? I don't think anybody has a clue. You just say, okay, let's have a date. We'll show up and, or I'm going to sign up for this class, or I'm going to try to be a Reiki master, or whatever it is, or I'm going to approach this person that I kind of think is cute, or, whatever the case is to step into that with what we've become, as opposed to what we don't want to be, what we don't want to see, what we think of someone else, but to actually just step into it. And I really believe it's happening. I think it's somewhat unconscious, but I feel like the more it happens, the more conscious it's going to become in the physical body. And that's why, the whole thing about the nervous system, because it's not just the nervous system. It's like, to me, that's like the central point. The rest of it's the atoms, the cells, the muscles, the blood, the veins, like this is a real thing here. This is a real thing.
Have you felt any of the burning of the skin? Like
Oh
when
my
your
God.
skin feels like it's
Yes.
on fire and you're like, what
Yes.
is happening? And then it moved like it moved in different portions of the torso. And
I
then
had
there's
it
times
all
where I'm
over.
like, I just got to drink a whole lot of cold
Yeah.
water so I
Oh
can
yeah. I
cool the
think,
whole
yeah,
system
the
down.
water, yeah, the water thing is so important. Like I didn't listen to that for so long, and I drink coffee and I drink a little beer. That dehydrates you. I drink tea, which can even dehydrate you. Yeah, but like the water to me is, I don't go, like I'll drink 3, 4 bottles like you have right there a day. And coconut water. Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
so there are some things, but again, I feel like our body tells us. Like my body will tell me. My body will tell me.
Hmm.
Like this weekend, I purged. Had I been on the juicing and water, I only took a couple of days off. Oh, I paid for it. And my body said, "Yeah, do you get the message? You need to stay with the produce, the juice, the organic juice," which I do, and I've done for a long time. And you need to make sure you drink some water. You just didn't want to get up off your ass and go get some water and come back to the house, because I like to drink, carbonated water like Topo Chico. But yeah, it's very important. And so for me, it's been like the heat. There's cold from the inside, although it's been a while. Uh, the rashes around the body at times,
Yeah.
like the scalp, the hair falling out, which thank God it kind of stopped. I mean, so the heart palpitations, to me, the biggest thing has been I got to lay down. And you lay
Mm.
down there and going, oh my God, I should be doing something.
You know, you're like,
And you're
but
just
I
laying there
can't.
going, and your soul comes in and goes, no, no. Remember
Hmm.
this happened? Remember that happened? How do you feel? Let's talk about your nervous system or whatever comes in. But like I've seen so many people in collecting memes over the last 3 months, like 5,000 memes a month, right? Like I've seen so many of them have the theme of, and there's a lot of it's, in humor, is, I need to lay the fuck down. Like I lay down 10 hours a day. I talked to a friend yesterday, and they were like, how many hours a day do you spend in self-reflection? And I hadn't thought about it. And I'm like, okay, well, let's see. Well, if I'm up 18 hours a day, oh my God, like 14, 15, like there's something happening with that.
Yeah, of course there is. And you're moving molecules around too. Remember, you're recalibrating the body.
Yeah.
You're creating all these things. It's not something, it's not an object outside yourself.
No.
You're building the dome.
Yeah.
You're doing all of it. That's why I said it can't. The idea of someone doing it for you, they can't do it for you.
No. No. That's the thing. Like it's like the whole stay in your own lane thing isn't even becoming a choice anymore. because because the power of whatever you want to call it, the you, me, we, and it, the transformation, the cycle, whatever. It's not even about a narrative. It's about what's becoming obvious. The power of being in your own presence is not becoming a choice. So I always tell
Mm.
people, Todd's a full-time job. So I have to say this to my children, to my mother,
Oh,
to my, and
yeah.
seriously, we it's the best thing we can do for them is to be on the, in self-reflection, 15 hours a day and 8 of it on your flat of your back. Taking
It's
on
so
stuff.
true, though.
Yeah. But I really do feel like the summer is, I know the southern hemisphere it's not the summer, but I mean the months of June, July, August, as my soul told me, all about fire and purging. And that's what it's been like
Mm.
for me. So it's been challenging to even do shows. But I really feel like come September, there's going to be some crystallization, there's going to be some clarity, and I believe there's going to be some beginnings of collaboration and co-creation. And I feel like that's really where our power is, kind of like the energy of this. If it was me talking by myself or you talking by yourself, that would have an impact, even if nobody was watching. But to have two or more where others are there without time, whether they're watching live or on a replay, there's power in that. So
100%. And when you said that, it is beyond time and space. You are beyond time and space. I am beyond time and space. This isn't one lifetime only. This is time and space coming together, and you and I just are finding words to put to the topics at
yeah,
hand. And even those are
you
so
tell me.
limited.
Yeah.
They're even limited
And
because of
it's yeah,
what really is going on inside your body. Like if you went through all the pieces, I think that everybody would that's going through it as well could say, "Oh my God, me too!" Right?
yeah.
It's a Me Too movement in the
It
positive
is a
sense.
Me Too movement.
It's a Me Too movement. Me
I
too.
I put up a post yesterday and I said, I don't know about everybody else, but this has been the and I meant it. I said this has been the uh, biggest um, activation, transformation weekend that I've ever had. And people were just like, oh my God, I've been going through it, and they all had, I don't know about you, but this past weekend, right onto this morning, which was yesterday, was the biggest purge download activating onslaught I ever felt, and yeah, 400 people were like, yeah. And I put physically, mentally, emotionally raw, vulnerable, transparent, transformational, heart
Mm.
opening, earth shaking, truth erupting, dimensionally shifting, spirit lifting. What a gift and what a ride. But to me, that's another thing that is becoming more obvious, that there are more and more and more streams in our consciousness. So, like, say in the old paradigm, we were trained to go to school and learn this way and eat this way on the food table and have these certain streams. And now what's happening is not only are we seeing those streams aren't even real, we're developing our own way to eat, our own way to educate ourselves, our own way to, and so we're getting all these other streams, and our soul is not allowing us to stop at 6 streams. It's going, no, no, okay, you got those now. Let's go. Let's add 2 more and 4 more and 8 more. And so all that multi experiential, the multi-dimensional, the multi-humanity, incarnation part of it is all on board. So I don't know if we're gonna, end up at a solar flash like people talked about, for the last 5 years. Or it's gonna come. It's gonna come. I don't know how it works. Maybe it happens 8 billion different ways, and we're on 8 billion different Earths. I don't really know, but
Well, it's interesting when you were just saying what you said. I swear to you, I was seeing you building a Merkabah. That's what they told me you were building. It was streams of light, and you were like When you were saying everything you were saying, I was watching streams of light being built like a and I was like, what is that? And they're like, oh, it's a Merkabah. And I was like, oh, that's interesting from the human perspective, going all the way to creating a Merkabah, but your brain doesn't have a reference to it, so it doesn't see it. I don't have, I'm not close to the situation, so I'm just looking at it from how you're speaking, and then I'm identifying it through the ability to see certain things. That's just
Yeah.
my gift.
Yeah.
And I was watching you literally with spheres of light, and you were creating a Merkabah by what you were just saying. And then you said the solar flash thing, and I thought it isn't uh, a solar flash that you're not participating in. It's a solar flash that you're creating by working through. It's like you're working multidimensionally, even though it looks like it's through the human.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I get
And
you.
then the flash is not the flash that everyone's thinking, because it's putting it outside of ourselves. And every time you put
Right.
something outside of yourselves, it's an illusion, because now you've taken, it would be like you saying, Todd, all these things you're building, and then you're like, oh, it doesn't belong here, it belongs outside of myself. Why would you do that? It only
Yeah.
belongs inside the
Yeah.
self, and only inside the self can all those things come. And then they're telling me that we all have been building this container. I saw it as a container, and it is a container, but it's not limited to only a container, because it's now multidimensional. So it's
Yeah.
bringing in the spheres of light, and you're placing them in the correct order that aligns to you. And that is what a Merkabah is. A Merkabah is a energetic system that is designed and aligned solely for you.
Yeah.
And we didn't come here with a Merkabah. We didn't come here with it easily accessible.
Well, we
But
didn't.
in
Yeah.
other dimensions, we
It's
were
in that.
told
Yeah.
that
It's,
if you
yeah.
go to the eighth dimension, you can get in a Merkabah.
It's another it's another thing we erased or yes, or had
Yeah,
amnesia
yes,
about.
yes, yes.
But
Amnesia.
I'm a really big believer that because I experienced this a lot through the last, since I rewoke in 2011
Mm-hmm.
and in the creative mode or on the creative path, let's put it that way. And not only on the creative path in terms of artistic things or Soulogy thing for me, but also in connection, in relationship, in everyday life. That there's been this kind of like handoff between lucid dream explaining things for everybody's different
Mm-hmm.
and what comes into my conscious mind as a human slash hybrid soul, whatever. And that is that that's what I was talking about earlier. Everything we do from moment to moment, integrity, genuine, innocently, lovingly, the finest, the only attributes of the soul, the virtues of the soul. And it's not like, okay, do this and do that. And if you don't do it, that's bad. No, no, no. This is an evolution. So the more that we can go into that space, it's not like you said earlier, it's not like you get to this point. I've experienced it on shows. I've experienced it in personal relationships and personal connections. I've experienced it in music, where I've come together with musicians and we just like, okay, let's try something. And something beautiful happens. So there's this moment where everything becomes almost like a chakra channel that just starts going whoo, 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 And I really feel like that these things that we've experienced in the distortion in the 12 years between 2012 and 2024, we did these things. In fact, I heard this earlier this year. I heard you guys came to do something and you've done it. You just don't know it. And now we're on the
Mm-hmm.
other side. And it's going to play in the same kind of rhythm and pattern, but there's no distortion. And kind of the core of it is okay, I'm on the other side now. We awoke. We all see each other. What do I want to do now?
Mm-hmm.
And it becomes like the driver, like this. If you think about let's just say, I call it the mother, but let's just say when there was one, when there was everything was one, and it hasn't gone into any fractal incarnations or other, she thought something. What would I like to do? I'd like to have a partner. But if I have a partner, I'm going to have to give them full freedom, and like the whole thing starts to start, right? I feel like we're in that space. Like I feel like we're in this space of, okay, I know who I am. I know what I am to the extent that I can. And what are we really here for? Let's create. Whether it's one show, one music session, a book, whatever moves you, not for attention or money or anything, to really go, what do I really want to do? That's where I'm at. And I have no fucking idea what that is.
Oh, isn't that interesting? I don't either, by the way, but that makes sense that you wouldn't, because we're everything on this plane of existence that's been created, that we've already seen that let's say we saw the music industry right now get put on a platter, right? And they showed what should have been music and a clean energy got convoluted.
Right.
So there is no place to necessarily put it in any of those spaces that were once there, because the spaces that were once there don't have the integrity with it.
Right.
So it really requires a whole, I'm hearing a whole new world.
Well, who is that, to your point
A
earlier?
whole
It's
new
you,
world.
right? It's you.
Yeah.
Because
Hmm.
if you look at the music thing, yeah, I get what you're saying. I mean, the rails are coming off. It's being deconstructed just like the pharmaceutical and all the other bullshit, right?
Yeah.
But on
That
the
whole
other hand,
construction doesn't have any value. So it literally
no.
is going to collapse upon itself,
Yeah,
because because the belief in something is what holds something in place.
exactly.
And
Exactly.
when you take away the belief because you know the truth, right?
Right.
Nothing personal, there's not shame, then you no longer buy into something, right? So the way it is that we're taking away our belief in things that no longer serve humanity and aren't based in love. And
Well,
as
they're part of,
we
go ahead.
because energy can't uh doesn't get destroyed, it only gets removed and it gets reformulated.
Well,
So
they're part of the delusion, They're part of the old
yeah.
construct. And I think music's a good example because we can look at that part of it, but you can also look at the other part of it. You can go onto the internet and there are geniuses, as my brother said many years ago, there are geniuses
Mhm.
all over the world. And when we did a show with an accomplished jazz vocalist and musician, okay, a lady out of Australia, beautiful lady, and it was impromptu. Ty was doing the music, and he's a maestro and a wizard with that. And I had written some lyrics, and so we were talking, and she said, I've been listening to your sessions, and I'm an accomplished, and she was very good. It was the best session I've ever done. I still listen to it, but she wasn't, and it's not because it's about me or Ty. It was because the point she was making. She said, I know what that vibration is. And it doesn't have to just be music. It could be a conversation. It could be a lot of things, right? She
Mhm.
said, it's when you show up and you open up. So it's not about how good your voice is or how many octaves you can sing or are you in tune all the time. It's something else. And I feel like
Hmm.
that something else is what's taking on an embodiment and a physicalization. And the only way to grow that and to know it better is with each other, uh, and to jump in the arena and go for it. I'm 100% with that. So,
That is well said, because you're right on that. It is a vibration, and it's almost like in some ways we're all doing it anonymously, right?
yeah.
I mean, you have this show and we are talking, but for the most part, everything you're doing is anonymously uh, anonymous to the public.
Right.
how you take the time out for yourself and are with yourself, and you're creating from those places, is adding to something that we could call the collective, but it's done anonymously. You're not putting your tag sign to it,
Right. Right.
Todd, by the way, Todd, Soulology. If you just didn't, it's got, if
No,
it's
I've
there,
totally screwed the pooch on that one, man.
no, you didn't
Believe
screw
me,
anything
I'm
because
not. If I was in it for the money, I'd be making 100,000, 200,000 a year now.
let me tell you, the money has never been what's driven you, and anyone that has any eyes to see knows that.
Mm,
The community that you've created, though, is from what you've done. So you created a container for people to come to share common ground with, and to
mm.
share a perspective and viewpoint that you're not going to find on the in an average conversation, and you provided that. So
Yeah.
do not underestimate that
No, no.
container and
Thank
why,
you. Yeah.
how beautiful it's been. I mean, it's lent itself to us having a conversation now, 2019, 2025, 6 years later.
That's crazy.
6 years later, we were able
I
to
had one
find
with
one
a
another
lady.
in this.
I had one with a sister yesterday, and I think it was 8 years or 7 years. But no, I feel like it. Like even when I was given the Soulogy, I guess it was a download. March 2012, and they said like go open a Facebook group, and I wasn't even on Facebook. And then I wrote out the about. I don't think it's the same one that's on there now. I think somebody went in there and changed it. But it was like there is no dogma, there is no doctrine, there's nothing written. It's an energy. Like that name is just a name, like the Holy Spirit, or chi or Kundalini, or I don't know, whatever. Um, and I feel like what it's equated to at this point is very reflective of our own evolution, which is to be yourself, to go
Mm,
into a space. And I was blessed to have this happen to me yesterday with somebody where it just happened, and I was like, I was able to just be myself, you know and I know that puts it in non multidimensional terms and non fuzzy love and light terms, but when a human being can just be themselves, especially when they can try things they've always wanted to but were scared because of what people might think. So singing, dancing, writing poetry, speaking
yes.
publicly. I mean, this is it. So that's where I'm invested.
Yeah, but I love that
we
you invested there, because I remember when you started singing, and I remember it being something that really was something you wanted to express,
mm,
and then you gave yourself that. If you hadn't given yourself that expression, who would have stopped you but yourself?
yeah. And I
And
think
why
when
would
people,
you, inside you, stop you from doing something that's
well,
creative?
we've been, yeah, because we've been through the condition. But the point being, I feel, is like what you're bringing up, and it doesn't matter if it's Soulogy or it doesn't matter. Yeah, I mean, because you can find it, you can find the shit, but you can also find the shift. And what I mean is,
Hmm.
when you see a person that's in that space, even if it's only once in their lifetime, right? Like you just happen to be witness. It is reflective, it's inspiring, and it's expansive. And if I look back at the years of Soulogy, even in its infancy, where there was just a group and we didn't have videos, and then I saw people come out and like Mick Rogers from Australia. He's doing a video and he's in a shower and he's tiling the shower. That's what he does, and he starts singing Elvis. Or
Hmm.
somebody else. I mean, I really feel like that's what it is. We're here to, there's that old. Not old, but there's. I remember when I got on the internet, a few years ago, whatever, 10 years ago, 12 years ago. Um, there was this post that went around for a couple of years in these circles, and it was about it was a 5 year survey from like a hospice, okay, thing, right? And they interviewed people uh, that were going to transition, and the number one thing that they said was that I wish I would have done what I wanted to do, regardless of what other people thought. That
Mm,
was my own words, but that was I'm paraphrasing what they said. And to me, that speaks to it. Like that, we're not going to get that back. And
mm,
it's not like we're being assholes, okay? We're truly doing this from the inspiration of the divine that we are, that we're connected to, and that we're relating to, and that we want to share. Because no code or download or transmission is worth shit, in my opinion, unless it's shareable. Thank you, Ty Hudnall. I learned that from him. But yeah, it's meant to be shared. I don't own anything. You don't own anything. It's not you. It's not me. That's just part of our bullshit identity here. You know,
mm.
it's to be shared. You know, it's to be shared, and that's where that whole sending, giving, and receiving thing happens. We've been on for
We
two and a
need to
half
end.
hours.
I'm
Have
so
we been on
two and a,
have we been on?
no,
Yeah, two and a
it's
half
six.
hours.
Oh my
We've
gosh.
been on, we signed off an hour ago. Okay, but
Oh, I love it.
I will.
Oh my
Hey,
God, that's nuts.
thank you so
Listen, I am
much.
so grateful. I'm glad we had a chance to connect
Yeah,
and re get up to speed with one another. Have the Vivica Pisces thing happen. That
yeah,
was beautiful.
yeah. It's been fun. It's been fun. I'm
Yeah.
just really getting back into this again after not having the same pace for a couple of years. But I'm really, you know, not jumping into it full blast. But I can see it's picking up momentum. So yeah, like doing.
Well, I have people I can recommend if you want. Like there's this
Send
really
me.
cool woman. Do you remember Cheryl that was in Sedona and she was an artist
Yeah,
that
yeah.
passed away back in the
Very close
Cheryl,
with
right?
her. Yeah.
This woman's
Sherilyn.
name is
Yeah.
Cheryl Lynn. Well, this woman's name is Sherry Lynn.
Okay. Okay.
She's an artist as well, and
Anyone,
also
yeah. Yeah, anyone that,
spiritual.
yeah, that's cool.
And
Yeah.
then there's another girl, her name is Rebecca, and she's been writing some stuff about how she connected with AI
Mm.
and opened up a doorway.
I think that's a worthwhile discussion. There's a lot of people that are tapping into that. I see
I'll
Rick
send
Jewers.
you
Rick Jewers. Yeah.
both of their posts, and then you can determine what you want, and then reach out to them.
Yeah.
I
So,
haven't spoken to them about it. I just know that
look,
that's
any,
pretty amazing.
and that goes for anyone out there. Okay. Send me a message on Messenger, send me an email at
Yeah.
soldieronestudios at gmail.com. I'm totally open to it. I'm on X too. There's a message box on X. It's Todd Medina. I am Soul, I think. But
Yeah,
yeah,
I'm
I
definitely
want to,
not on X, but I'm on
I,
Facebook.
yeah, yeah. I want to talk to people. I want to have conversations that nobody's having. I don't want to have the clickbait conversations, and I don't want to do the promotion and the marketing. If it comes up organically, so be it. And that's just what my soul wants to do, and I feel like it's worthwhile, and I feel like it can serve myself and other people. So, thank you very much for coming in. If
Truly
I
my
get to
pleasure.
California again, we'll have to break bread again.
I
I'm
know
sure we'll do.
where are you at in Mexico?
I'm in La Pineta in
Where's
Nayarit.
La where's
It's
that?
about 90 minutes north of Puerto Vallarta.
Oh,
I'm in a
nice.
small little town. Yeah, it's very, very cool. It's very, very authentic. It's very raw, very transparent, yeah, just very, very beautiful. It really
You
is.
know, Todd, when I was there, I went 2 years ago to Mexico City with a friend, and I went outside of Mexico City about an hour to an hour and a half, and there were these pyramids, and they were talking about these being
That's
famous
Teotihuacan.
pyramids.
That's
Okay,
the Toltecs.
okay, well, guess what? So I'm there and I stay the night and I'm laying on the couch and I close my eyes and I get taken down. It was under the earth. So as I was going down this road, this dirt road, it was dirt dirt road. All of these different alien creatures were walking up and past me and stuff. And I was like, what? Like I was like,
It's some
where
deep
did I
stuff here. It's
it was
deep here.
deep, man. And I was like, what the heck? And I was like,
No,
this is too wild. Did you anything
so,
like that happen to you while you're there?
I had something happen the first day I was here,
Oh,
and uh,
interesting.
and it was pretty wild. I felt
Did
it
it
the
have
whole
anything to
time.
do with that?
Uh,
Did you go
I
underground?
actually, I no. Let me tell you. Okay, so it's all connecting, right? So
Okay.
probably I've been here a year and a few days, and about a year and a half. Let me think. Yeah, about a year. This is 25. Okay, 24. So about a year to a year and a half beforehand, I got this huge download that you're going to Mexico, and I thought I was going right then. And it was all this intricate information I won't get into, but it's related to what you're talking about. And then about 5 or 6 weeks ago, if you go to, because I think Facebook is erasing all the videos, if you go to Soulogy One Studios on YouTube uh, or X, Todd Medina, I am Soul, or Todd Medina Soulogy, uh, I interviewed with Ty Hudnall, my brother, who's been affiliated with the Toltec Nation, okay,
Mm.
the original natives, since about 2010 or something. But I interviewed the son of the chief, and he's a prominent figure in that community, and he lives in the original town that's in that pyramid complex.
Oh,
So,
wow.
so it was a very interesting conversation. We're working on some things together as time goes on, but I feel like that I'm going to go through there on my way out of Mexico back into the U.S. later this year. And he invited me, even talked about coming to pick me up. But yeah, there's something to that. And the other thing I look at about Mexico, regardless of my own intuitive experiences or whatever, is, it's next door to the United States of America. Okay. Now, we all know that it's been the biggest, powerful imperialistic force in the world since World War One. And yet,
Hmm.
Mexico has always kind of been this wild card thing. I've always believed, even before I received some things a couple of years ago, that um, there's a higher authority or a higher, maybe even, I don't want to say dimension, but maybe intelligence beneath the surface here. Because, seriously, the United States has flexed its muscles, and it just makes sense to me. So, I do think that there's something there. My
I can
daughter,
tell you concretely there is because I
yeah,
experienced it. It kind of freaked me out because
yeah,
it wasn't even like I was searching for it.
yeah. Well, you're
It would
carrying
just
the,
showed
yeah,
up, and I was like, "Whoa!" And then I was heading down, and I was like, I don't even know
yeah.
where I'm going right now.
You
I
can
was
so
like, "What the
so,
hell?"
and I think that's another thing that's happening. We should do another show. But I mean, like, okay, so okay. So you can look at things literally or otherwise. Okay, so third eye or physically, I mean, it's all meshing together.
Mm,
But if I walk out to the bay and I'm in a certain state of mind or frequencies, and somebody else does, I've had experiences where I'm seeing something the other people are not seeing. Okay, so I think what happens is like you were saying, there is a multidimensional quantum entanglement to other aspects of yourself that are affecting all things universally
hmm
in all the aspects that you are, and that you were brought here just like I was brought here, and in that moment you were kind of doing, I would say, like grid work. So
hmm
you're gaining as the land and those aspects around it are gaining from you. You know what I mean? So I feel like those things will come into our memory and make sense. And as those things connect, it's just going to be another parallel to the expansion of our skills and abilities and sensitivities. So I think Mexico is a big, big thing, and I respect the fact I'm here. And I don't know if I'll stay here past October 20th, but I wouldn't be surprised if I did stay here longer. I really feel
Honestly,
that.
it makes sense. It feels like you're doing work there uh, because a man affects the land, and the land affects the man. And
Yeah.
remember, the Spanish had conquered Mexico, right?
Yeah.
And then we had United States had a war, and they were given the land of Texas and California.
Right.
But all along the coastline were Native Americans that were along the coastline. And when I'm on the coastline, because I'm more towards Marina Del Rey area now, um, I know I can feel them. They're literally ancestors.
Yeah.
still watching the land and stuff. And
Yeah.
I had an experience where, all of the fires and stuff like that created these dolphins to come up on land. And I was there one day when it was occurring, and I was, oh my God, it was insane. I was calling out. The guy was threatening that I couldn't touch the dolphin or I'd be arrested. And I was like, I am a steward to that dolphin. And
Mm.
as the dolphin would be a steward to me if I were in the ocean. And I was like, I don't care what you say. And they pulled him out of the ocean because they said he was confused, and they wouldn't let me. And I was yelling for people to help me pull him back into the ocean, but they said all he would do is drown. It was horrible, Todd. And
Yeah.
I felt like I was split into a million different particles at that time. I was crying. I was there. I was praying light language over the dolphin. I came back kind of half dazed and half confused as to uh, why I couldn't change the situation. I was calling to the sea gods to come and grab their child back. I mean, it was nuts.
See,
And
and see here, like this story that you're telling right now, and I got to go because
yeah,
I'm burning up. I can't run
I know.
any
I'm so
longer.
sorry.
No, 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 no. I'm just sweating like a dog, but nobody can smell me, so it's okay. But see, like that anecdote, that look, the power is in terms of, let's just say, okay, let's just say with what we know in the human experience, the power, there is language, and
Yeah,
there's power in the storytelling. And I'm telling you, I know this 100% because I'm getting what my multi-purpose is now that we're on the other side.
yeah.
And I think one of the most important things is, especially from those like you, okay? Do you know how many people, how many souls incarnated in human body that have told me stories such as that? If the whole world knew how common these occurrences have been, be they
Mm,
visitations from ETs or elementals or dragons or whatever the case is, angels, whatever, people would, in other words, our awareness would come into an acceptance of that vast, that vast myriad of experiences, which are really, in fact, one.
mm,
One in the sense that anything's possible, so on and so on and so on. But yeah, I really feel like because what you were doing at that time, which a lot of people can relate to, I can relate to it. When I'm told to go do this and go do that, you don't know what the hell you're doing. You're just doing it. And you don't care if somebody tells you you're going to be arrested. You're just going to fucking do it. So people have been doing that for a long time. And at some point, there's going to be a breaking point. Becomes it becomes it comes into the awareness of enough people, the tipping point where that all becomes common knowledge. 'Cause we've been doing
mm.
grid work the whole time, but our soul's been driving us and the human's been kind of unconscious to it. You know what I mean? So these conversations I can go on forever. And I just
I know,
really
and
want
I'm
to
so sorry
say,
to have kept you.
no, 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 I'm good with it. Time is what? Time is 2 hours and 40 minutes. Who gives a shit? But, but, but no, seriously, seriously, I want to say thank you. It's so good to see you. It
Thank
really
you.
is. It's been a very open 360-degree conversation. I am elated with that. And thank you for allowing me to be a part of that. And thank you for honoring us with your presence. And I look forward to collaborating with you again. Should the you,
Mm.
me, we, and it be willing to let me physically continue to go on. And if not, I'll see you on this side, the other side, or both.
Remember, Kaba. Thank you again. It was a pleasure, Todd. Honors to you and all that you do.
Yeah. Thank
Seen and
you.
unseen, known and unknown.
I'll be in touch. I'll be in
Yeah,
touch.
sounds great.
You take care.
Bye.
All right.
Peace. Be out.